Welcome to the Athletic NBA Draft 2022 live show. I'm Zach Harper. We have Jay King, the Prime Minister of Czechoslovakia. We've got Mo Dakhil, who was once fired by Doc Rivers. And we have John Hollinger, our draft expert.
What's up?
To bring us through our own dumb expertise for some actual expertise on these.
Yeah, if I'm the expert, this show is screwed. Let's just say that right off.
We're all experts.
I mean, we got Jay King wearing a jersey, like with just a tank top
in honor of the most hopeful man in the NBA. He might not have to coach Kyrie next year.
I would have guessed Dragon Bender. I really would have guessed Dragon Bender as your jersey of choice.
I was thinking Dennis Johnson Phoenix jersey.
Oh, wow.
That would have been respectable.
That's a pull. Yeah. So we will have you. I don't know how long we're going tonight. We might go through the lottery. We might go through the first 20. We might go through the entire first round. But John, my favorite thing that happened last night into this morning was Paolo Banchero goes all the way up to the top odds for number one pick in the middle of the night, and then taken off the board. All these bets 1 through 3 are taken off the board after. Is he going number one, or are we still Jabari Smith Jr. is like the guy for Orlando?
I still think there's a chance at Chet.
Chet? Wow.
I mean, has anyone ruled that one out yet? Like, it's a little wacky. Like, don't gamble on the NBA draft at 3 a.m. is one of the first lessons from this, I think.
I mean, John, don't tell people what to do. Okay, like if I want to throw all my life savings away at 3 a.m, I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
on Paolo.
Okay, I mean, I'm more of a eat a good breakfast, throw away your life savings at noon kind of guy. But everyone rolls their own way,
You shouldn't even be able to afford a breakfast at noon. Like you should not be. That's not okay. Like you should have gotten rid of that money long before. So I already know what Jay's going to say. I don't want Jay to be a part of this conversation yet. John, I am not really sold on Chet as like a star at the NBA level. I am super worried about the frame. I think it's weird that we've got some discussions that maybe he didn't allow his medical reports to be viewed by teams. I don't know if that's real. I just know I've seen that. I don't know if that's real or not. But sell me on Chet as like a guy who should go number one.
The hide your medical trick is like some guys at the top of the draft, if they're trying to get themselves sent to a certain team, they'll definitely do that where they don't share the medical with other teams. Definitely not that
he's just 180 pounds and worried about something.
Yeah. I mean, there could be other things there, but generally that getting the medical on the top guys becomes a game in and of itself. Having been fortunate enough to be, part of teams that were bad enough to end up in the top 5 of the draft, I can tell you there's a little bit of a game that goes in with that. As far as Chet, when you get this high in the draft, you're wondering like, is there an all-star ceiling? Can you be, first or second option on a good team? And that's where I think I have a little trouble with Chet too. As a rim protector, obviously he's unbelievable, right? He can be a secondary offensive player. He can make an open three. Obviously, if he catches the ball in the paint, there's a good chance he'll dunk it if he's on the move. But he's not going to be able to post anyone up with that frame, as you say. And he has some ball skills, but they're not enough to like do anything at an NBA level. So offensively, the guy I compare him to is Miles Turner, right? So
that's disrespectful to Chet.
Why?
Even if he's so somewhere between Miles Turner and Rudy Gobert, let's say, okay. Even if he's better than Miles Turner and worse than Rudy Gobert, is that the number 1 player in this draft? Is that like the number 3 player in this draft? And, and then you wonder kind of at the highest levels just what happens with fives in playoff series if you're better off just taking a non-5 that high in the draft.
Yeah, my thing with Chet is I think he has a lot more to his perimeter game than he showed at Gonzaga. I actually think he will be able to handle the ball. He will be able to make plays off the bounce. He will have some of that stuff at the NBA. And that really will separate him between being one of the guys and someone who makes the right play a lot and defends at a really high level around the rim. But I actually believe in him. I think he does have, especially for a 7'1" guy, he's extremely fluid, like just ridiculously fluid for that height. And like dating back to high school, like he played legit played point guard some in high school. And I think because they had Nembhard, because they had another big guy, it was kind of a clunky fit at times with him, even though he was good enough that they made it work and made it work really well. But I do think there's another layer to his game, and that will come out in the NBA. He's like just rare for 7'1", some of the stuff he can do with the ball.
It's funny, like the way I read all of Jay's text messages when he's hyping up Chet, like he never sounds this subdued about him. I just
John,
feel like
the group chat Jay King is different than actual life.
I mean,
I don't know how
wild.
different that is.
It's no, but it's like so subdued, right? Like the way I read it is Jay yelling this at us, and now he's just super calm and everything. I don't think he's a number one guy. I don't think he's a guy I'd want to take with the number one pick. I think that's just a bit of a risk right there with what
who are you more comfortable with becoming that
in this draft, who do you think is the number one pick then?
I think I'd go with Paolo. I have questions about him defensively, but I think and in particular too, and I know everybody hates when you draft for fit, but Orlando needs somebody that can freaking score. And that's something Paolo can do. And I think that's something that they need. I think he can do a little bit more playmaking and things like that. The defense is going to be an issue, but they keep drafting all these long, lanky dudes and still aren't able to score at all. And I think that's kind of the bigger issue for them. And I think with Paolo's skill set, I think this is a dude that has a chance to just get buckets early on. And I think he could come in right away into an NBA game and put up, 18 points a night.
John, who do you think is the safest out of Chet, out of Jabari, out of Paolo?
Paolo probably has the highest floor, maybe. I don't know. I don't feel totally comfortable with any of them, but I think Jabari is probably the most bang bust of the three, even though like there's a certain floor to him too because he shoots it so well. But it's possible he just turns out to have no off the dribble juice at all, right? Like that's the thing that keeps you up at night if you're going to pick him, and so that turns into a much lower outcome than you're hoping for from a top three pick, right? I mean, I think Chet, it's funny because I think people worry like physically with him, like he'll be just broken in half. But actually, if you look at a lot of these players, especially over 7 feet tall, the biggest threat to their careers is knee, ankle, foot injuries from all the mass they're putting on their lower extremities. And Chet being so thin actually doesn't put as much force on those, ligaments and bones. So you almost feel better about his durability from that perspective.
He also held up pretty well. Like you saw him play Jalen Duren in the NCAA tournament, and Duren tried to go at him right away. Like tried to just bully him right away. And Chet was like, "Sorry, bro, I got a 7'6" wingspan. That's not really going to work." And there will be guys that are a lot more skilled than Duren in the NBA. And I think even some guards will overpower Chet at times. And there will be times when he looks lost, especially early in his career. But I also think just the instincts that he has and the length that he has, like it all adds up to him being a really plus defender, even though there will definitely be times when you see like Jalen Brunson move him backward like 10 feet.
So now, John, let me throw this description at you. I'm not going to tell you who said it, but quote, imagine Tyler Hero as a 7'1" depoy, but just as swaggy. Now, do you think that describes Chet?
No.
Okay. I won't say again. I won't say who on this show said that. Maybe it's someone wearing a jersey. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I have no idea.
To be fair, that was because of the whatever he's wearing to the draft right now. Kind of reminded me of Tyler Hero. Not really his game.
So this was a fashion comparison, not a basketball comparison.
I could envision Tyler Hero with the dice chain. Was all I was saying there.
Okay.
I mean, Jay, you've thrown out a lot of
Chet
weird
is
references.
More of a 7'1" Ricky Davis, but with a completely different game on both offense and defense.
I see some Al Horford. I actually see some Al Horford. In a real comparison, I see some Al Horford.
I don't think he could score on Ricky Davis now. I don't think that Chet but also Ricky Davis is kind of a basketball god, if you will. So
right.
I don't
and
think
he's
Chet
like
could
43,
hang with him.
Right?
Yeah, something like maybe 45-ish. Yeah, somewhere in
He's
that
about
range.
to enter his prime.
42.
You two are tied up, Zach. You should know his age.
Well, we don't worry about like the mortal age that you guys worry about. Okay,
Age is just a number to him. Age is just a number. It's nothing.
I don't know that I would go reciting R. Kelly, but I do think that that with Ricky, like he is timeless in a way that no one else can describe. Outside of those big three, although we do have a report from ESPN saying that Paolo has entered the chat for the number one selection with Jabari Smith with Orlando. Outside of these big three in the draft, I love Jaden Ivey. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. Super athletic, confident guard who really goes at people. I'd like him to be a better shooter, but I love Jaden Ivey. Who do you think is the fourth best player, John?
I actually had Jaden Ivey as the third best player. I had him ahead of Chet on my board.
Wow. I like that. I like that. Okay, tell me on
he has more boom bust potential, but just getting a guard who can break down and get downhill is so important in this game. It's more important than having a 5, even a really good 5. So for that reason, I think taking a swing on Ivey is a better long-term bet for a franchise than taking a bet on Chet, even if Chet turns out to be a better player and maybe, I don't know, 60, 70% outcomes. Like the high end you get off of Ivey is like this. You know, you see flashes of like John Morant, Dwayne Wade type stuff from him. And that's not saying at all that he's definitely going to turn into that player. But there are only so many people who have those possibilities. So he has that blast off quickness, the athleticism at both ends. He's really going to take advantage of the NBA's open floor. Purdue played with 2 monstrous post players, which I think kind of got in the way for him a little bit. He has to improve his decision making. People talk about his shooting. His shooting's just okay. You know, it's like the John Morant push shot or whatever. He's going to shoot if he's wide open. But the bigger thing to me is like his decision making off the dribble. A lot of times just wasn't good enough. But that's also a thing that a lot of guys get a lot better at once they get, you know, all these reps with NBA pick and rolls. If he's picked by a bad team, they just hand him the ball. It's almost like, you know, Westbrook's first year in OKC or a couple of these other guys. I mean, John Wall when he first came to Washington, where they don't have it right away, but they pick it up and they're just so blazingly fast that they get easy penetration all the time.
The funny part will be if he does go to the Kings and how that will set them up with De'Aaron Fox after they just traded Halliburton, who's probably projects to be better than Fox at least. And
Davion Mitchell, their lottery pick from last year.
Yeah. So
what if they just can't stop picking guards in the
lottery? That's all they got. It's just guards. I don't think their draft board's able to put anybody else.
Right.
What I want to see is, because if they trade Harrison Barnes, they could be like the first donut team where everyone is either 6'4" or shorter or a center.
Yeah.
And there's just no real wings at all on the whole team.
Yeah, in a league dominated by wings.
Everyone else is trying to go with these lineups of like 5, 6, 7 guys, switchable or whatever.
Dante DiVincenzo
when everyone else zags, man.
Yeah, I know. I like
wing?
this idea. I like this idea of the Kings just saying, "Look, we know a lot of wings are out there that are very good. We're not interested. Like we do not do wings here. We do guards and we do centers, and that's it." What is the reason? Look, this probably isn't going to go over well in Sacramento. Whatever. Why are the Kings so married to De'Aaron Fox on this max deal? It's not even this front office that gave it
because
to him,
they couldn't trade him last year.
Yeah,
that's why.
That's fair.
I mean, that's why they ended up trading Halliburton.
I've got to ask you a question while we have you. What did you think of the James Jones take on the draft? That in that ESPN piece yesterday, where he was kind of like, we don't want to put resources at because everyone else does, and we're going to spend our resources in different ways.
That was really interesting. There were aspects of it that I could relate to. Definitely, like the bigger your staff gets, the more people you try to have in the room. There's just more to manage. It's like that's definitely a thing. There are advantages to keeping the room small. So I can respect that. I do think there are parts of the draft process that people maybe do overinvest their time in. I think draft workouts in particular, the recency bias you get from them has always made me question whether they're even worth it or not. because it's the last time you see the guy, and it's such like a fake impression. I mean, the one thing you can't do in a draft workout is have them play 5-on-5 basketball, which is the one thing you're employing them to do. Right. So it gets really hard from that perspective to like, okay, well, he looked like crap in the cone drill, and I know he probably should take him, but it's just.
Oh, I love the idea, man. You should have seen this dude attacking cones. Like it was like we've never seen anything like it.
It worked well for you. Yijin Lun got drafted by
you end up clinging to like with basically bullshit criteria, right? I can swear on this, right?
Why not?
And we'll find out. And so that's why I've had long discussions with people in the league about this topic, and I think there's a reluctance to try this because it looks like you're not doing your homework if you go that way. But I just think there's a lot of problems actually with having this draft workout be the last thing you see. Man. Anyway.
I mean, there have been so many guys, like from my experience with the Clippers, like somebody falls in love with somebody during a draft workout and you're like, that's not at all what this player is, and it's everything you've said, John. Like then you spend the rest of your time trying to talk out whatever lead decision maker of like, we have all these scouting reports. We have all these videos.
Whatever bad idea sprung up from that bad draft workout. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Not that that's ever happened to me. I just heard stories of other people.
No, it's happened to me many times. Like I've had to show videos. I've come out of a draft workout with a new project where they're like, listen, we know all the edits are positive stuff. Just show all the other stuff now. So now I've had to go make a new edit to just show them like, this isn't that dude.
John, rank these for me in terms of importance of the draft process. Okay. Draft workout, team workout. Let's go. Final game they played in the NCAA tournament. Interview at the combine.
So combine interview is sort of useful, although a lot of times you can follow up and get an interview for them if they're on your short list, because that's the best part of bringing somebody in is you can get you could take him out to lunch, spend like an hour with the guy, really get more of a feel. It's less of a contrived scenario. I mean, Mo, I don't know if you're ever in these interviews, but it is speed dating at a really grueling scale. Where you're doing these half-hour-ish interviews. And I mean, like they have one day in the schedule every day where you're doing like 12 of them. And it's just back to back to back, just like, hey, and then like, so unless someone is either like extremely drunk or just unbelievably the coolest dude you've ever met in your life, they all sort of settle into this like forgettable middle range where like 2 days later, you're like, what was that guy even like? Like, not
even that. The kid's gone through like 5 interviews in a day.
Oh, like, and they're coached, and it's just not a super comfortable thing for anyone. So, but the actual when you bring him to town and get that interview and get them in front of your physical team too, like your trainers and your strength coach and whatnot. You can learn some stuff from that. I feel like that's more important than whatever they do on the court in your workout.
Yeah. We've got news that Detroit, or we've had rumors, and Jake Fisher says that Detroit is trying to find a second lottery pick. I believe, James Edwards III has alluded to this as well. Maybe that's Charlotte if they're willing to take on Gordon Hayward's contract along with like the 13th pick or something. The target is apparently someone like Jalen Duren out of Memphis. How much did that Jeremy Grant trade set Detroit up to kind of be major players this summer, either with Ayton or with absorbing contracts, or what was the true value of that trade for Detroit?
What's weird to me is I thought their best shot of getting Ayton was in a sign and trade with Jeremy Grant. That's initially what I thought as well. And now that's off the table because that lets Phoenix walk away with something. And now I think Phoenix would be more inclined to me to match an offer sheet rather than lose the guy for nothing, right? So what is the sign and trade that Detroit could do now that sort of makes him whole? I guess you could say Sadiq Bey. I mean, if Phoenix likes him, you hope that Detroit at least kicked the tires on this a little bit with Phoenix before going down this particular road, because they didn't. I mean, they got a 2025 first round pick. They didn't have to do this deal today.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a little interesting from that perspective. I mean, you don't know what other dominoes they have set up though that may have compelled them, and this could be one of them where they say, okay, now we got the grant part done. Now we can take on bad money and get into the lottery this year this way, because they could actually. There are scenarios where they could do it as like a 3-way trade before their cap even opens up. And I'm getting bogged down here, but like if there was a Hayward scenario, they could make it Grant and like, Frank Jackson or something for Hayward and make it work that way.
Now, this does set off the tampering alarms at the league office, right? When we get into these kind of rumors, because we've already lost 2 draft picks in this draft due to tampering. Milwaukee and Miami both lose a second-round pick. If somehow it seems like DeAndre Ayton in restricted free agency has a sign and trade done before the draft, there's someone's going to complain, right?
Oh, yeah. No, these teams got to be smarter about like, okay.
Don't announce
the deal done. You don't... As somebody who, let's say
how many times did you tamper?
Let's say hypothetically you were working for a team and you negotiated a deal with an agent, and let's say hypothetically it was like June 28th. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
In this hypothetical situation, one thing you might tell the agent is, we're just going to shut the hell up until like July 3rd or like some like civilized time to like leak it out where nobody would think anything of it. Hypothetically, that's how I would handle that situation.
If I were to
ever work for a team and be in that situation.
Right. If that were ever to come up, sure.
Never
again,
possible anything
total
in Memphis.
hypothetical.
Nothing like that at all.
John, who's like the sleeper outside of the lottery that you think people aren't talking enough about?
Outside the lottery. I put Josh Minott from Memphis 10th on my board. I think he's going to go in the second round. I'm really interested to see who takes him. I think he's got a lot of defensive potential. I think he has a really good feel for the game. Can pass on the move, even though he's like big and long. Definitely raw, not a guy you're expecting to contribute year one, but I think there's some real upside in him. And it was sort of baffling to me that Memphis didn't play him more this year.
Who could be a surprise top 10 pick that no one's really projecting right now?
I mean,
like
Jalen Williams is the guy from the combine whose stock just seems like only goes in one direction.
I'm in love with him. I'm in love with Jalen Williams. Like, I think he's so good, and I think if he didn't go to Santa Clara, he would have been a top 7 pick.
Okay, I'm in like. I wouldn't say I'm in love. Like,
no, John, I will kick you off this show if you are not in love with Jalen Williams from Santa Clara. It's also confusing because there are 2 Jalen Williams in this draft, so you have to make sure you clarify.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jalen Williams.
Different spelling. Yeah. Yes. The Jalen Williams from Arkansas who tries to take a charge on every play, and the Jalen Williams from Santa Clara.
Oh, so he's going to the Celtics?
Yeah.
So why are you in like with him and not in love with Jalen Williams from Santa Clara?
I mean, he was a junior last year, right? He was good. Like, I didn't think he was like for the level of competition he was playing. I think like especially at the defensive end, I was like, okay, he's okay. Has good size, can handle the ball, decent shooter. Didn't see like crazy athleticism, I guess, and I don't know. Overall, I just felt like, okay, like he's a good role player. He can do multiple things. He's, the guy I would compare him a little bit is actually John Salmons. Like can play multiple perimeter positions, do some stuff. Like, he's probably a little better shooter than Salmons, maybe a little bigger even. But I think he's like a good plus role player who can fill a lot of different niches on a roster. But I guess I didn't really see like star upside with him.
I wish he were a little bigger, a little stronger, a little more athletic. Like there's just something that's missing there. He has a lot to his game.
He's got a 7'2" wingspan.
He has a lot to his game, but he doesn't get by anyone. He doesn't get like a ton of separation.
By anyone.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a first-round draft pick.
Maybe second round.
Yeah.
Maybe second round, Jay.
John, we'll get you out on this. We appreciate you stopping by to tip this thing off. Let's end it with something negative because it's sports talk. So we have to end it with something negative. Who's a guy who's projected to go high in the draft that you just don't understand what the infatuation is?
All right, so I probably got two guys who are projected in the top 15 where I'm kind of like, really? Usman Deng is like, he's a dice roll. Like, he's a big wing, okay, can handle the ball a little bit, but he's like a little slow and unathletic. He's not really much of a shooter. Like, you're sort of hoping he can become Nick Batum, but like, you're going to use a top 10 pick for that? Like, I can't get that one. And then Ochai Agbaji from Kansas.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Great
college player. So
Final Four MVP,
like
but like, yeah, he's Final Four guy to me. Like he's a backup too in the NBA, I think.
I mean, that's where some of that Final Four stuff gets you, right? Like the recency stuff you were talking about earlier.
I believe it all.
Yeah, totally.
I believe it all. He shot well, so I believe it. He shot
you
well
only,
enough.
You only care if they shoot, period.
I only care. Yeah, that's true. I only care if they shoot. I don't care if they make it.
Yeah,
I bet
that's the
Caleb
only
Love
stat
guy.
Zach looks at for the draft. 3-point attempt frequency.
It's the only one that matters, guys, especially in today's league. John, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Enjoy the draft.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
that's John Hollinger right here on the live show. We have some news from ESPN. Quote, as the Orlando Magic move closer to getting on the clock, Duke's Paolo Banchero is now looming as a front runner to be the number one overall pick in the 2022 NBA draft. Sources tell ESPN. Dave DeFore, our producer in the chat, asked a great question. Can a front runner loom? I think a front runner can loom if they're front running backwards. So you can kind of loom if you're front running, but you're moving backwards.
Didn't Woj say earlier today that Jabari Smith to Orlando was firm? I guess it wasn't as firm as he thought.
Look, man, things change, I think, look, I'll just say it. If this is what happens, I think Orlando's making the right move. Paolo's my favorite guy in the draft.
This is I said it. This is who I think they should take. This is the right move in my opinion.
Paolo and Wendell Carter is such a beefy front court. Like that is just two big old brolic dudes who don't have a whole bunch of vertical athleticism. I'm here for it.
All right, let's bring in the author of the Mid-Range Theory, the best-selling book about mid-range jumpers. I don't name another book. Seth Partnow joins us here. Also another former executive with the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, very smart person. Someone I always feel stupid talking to because I just like to jack up dumb threes, and he's like, "Well, what if we tried to play smart?"
Yeah, because people who've played with me have never seen a bad jacked up three. So
you're a good shooter, though. You can shoot.
Yeah.
Well, so it's not a bad shot from you. I'm firm. You're in that range of Seth cannot take a bad shot. The first time I played with Seth,
giving out compliments, so
look,
you must really be
I
able
will
to
give
shoot.
out compliments to shooters. He can Seth can shoot. The first time I just met Seth, and the first time we're playing at like Finley Prep or whatever that pickup game was in Vegas, and he comes out that he pulls from like 30 just to start the game. I was like, holy shit. And it went in. It wasn't just a bad attempt. Like it went in, and he was knocking it down the whole game, the whole run. And so Seth is legit certified as a shooter.
Thank you. It's a lot to live. Thankfully, I'm retired from pickup, so I never have to disprove that introduction because no one will ever see evidence to the contrary ever again.
That was his last game,
and I wouldn't lie about this.
Walked off the court and never stepped back on after he pressed the hell out of that.
Let's get into the weird news of the day before we get really into this Paolo Banchero looming as the number one pick. Kyrie Irving, his whole contract situation with the Brooklyn Nets. He may opt in and try to get traded, may opt out and try to get a 4-year max, 5-year max. I don't remember exactly what is possible here. It's $200. It's going to double his career earnings, which are already very impressive. And then if he tries to get out, we might have Kevin Durant then trying to get out. And we could be in a situation, Seth, where the last one standing in a rebuild/retooling of the Brooklyn Nets is Ben Simmons. What the hell's happening?
As we all predicted.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. This is very confusing to me because the reports have been ambiguous on Kevin Durant's feelings about this. I think that's sort of what matters. if it's me, I think the Nets are better if they are able to turn that salary slot, those minutes, those shots into something more diversified than Kyrie. Now that's
Someone who
assuming
plays basketball.
Yeah, that's assuming that Katie is on board with it, and that's that is the open question, I guess, right now. This would be a pretty spectacular sort of monkey paws flexes kind of situation. Like Brooklyn does all this work to build their culture and make themselves an attractive destination, and they get these two guys, and then well, you need one more, and then they trade for Harden, and then it blows up in 10 months. Like I have a hard time processing it, having even just lived through it.
It did blow up quickly, but I will say they were so close to winning a championship. Like if they had just stayed healthy that first year, that whole experiment works. They win the championship, and whatever happens after that is fine.
Hold on,
that
Jay,
half size too big Durant wears his shoes is literally the difference.
You think they get past the Hawks in the conference finals?
that is true. The
Hawks team was a problem, man.
The Hawks were a problem.
That
Hawks was a problem,
and they were exhausted.
I don't know, man. John Collins versus James Harden. I'm not sure.
What in the hell is Paolo wearing? Jesus.
Oh, Paolo is dressed like Prince. Like Paolo is. Paolo is suited up, man.
But it looks like he has
Banchero in the time was a tweet I saw earlier.
But it looks like he has pieces of like popcorn stuck on him.
Yeah, it looks like a motion capture suit for a video game.
Yes,
where they're trying to they're trying to figure out like maybe he's going to be put into 2K next year as like the story of like Paolo Banchero, like this Italian basketball player who then goes and plays for Italy. Maybe we get some more FIBA integration into the NBA 2K24 or whatever it ended up being. Like I think that's what we're going with this. So we're just seeing the behind the scenes part of it.
For you, Mo.
Is that a dog? Was that a cat? What was that?
Cat.
I'm waiting for the for those that haven't really caught on. I am dreaming every time we podcast for the cat to attack Seth live during the podcast when we record Nerder. So whenever I see the cat, I just start rooting for the cat.
Now, do we think that Adam Silver made a mistake by not wearing like a bright white tuxedo? I feel like he's the only one that doesn't really like show out with this, with the way he dresses.
Pull off a white tuxedo.
I don't care if he could pull it off. I'm asking, is it a mistake that he?
What if he rips
one?
the dice chain off of Chet's neck?
Oh my God, I'm in. I'm in 100%.
NFL DB styles just start fighting like a receiver all of a sudden. Like this is what we're gonna have going on in the NBA draft.
I like this. I've always said that Adam Silver should be more like Aqib Talib. Like I really think like the league would be run much better. So do we believe this? Like Brooklyn's gonna give him the money, right? They're gonna give Kyrie the money, right?
I honestly think they're trying to finesse something that they can keep KD and not have to extend Kyrie for X number of years. If he picks up his option and plays this year, that's great. If we move on from him and do a sign in trade or whatever, and KD's fine with that, great. I think that they are and I think rightfully reticent about giving him a bunch of years for a guy who is, for whatever else you say about Kyrie, he's also always hurt. And that's not the kind of thing that gets better as you get older.
Not just always hurt, like just unreliable.
I didn't want to. Yeah, I mean that's the other side of it. I don't even want to go there.
But just a level of like, I don't feel like coming to work today. Like that's something you just can't really.
Just a little vacation he took in mid-season.
Yeah, we're not gonna knock people for that. Okay, that happens.
They're walking. They're walking a high wire rope though, because they came out. Even in the postseason press, like the end of season press conference, they came out and made it clear that they were not happy with Kyrie Irving, that they were not going to stand for the crap that he did this past season, that they want guys who are committed to them, and just made a show of it. Like they went above and beyond to kind of call him out then. And I think you do run the risk of pissing off a guy that Kevin Durant really likes, assuming he does really like him still at this point.
Right.
And also, if he does leave on his own and you're left without Kyrie Irving, and now all of a sudden you've gone from Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Ben Simmons, and James Harden, to Kevin Durant and Ben Simmons, who knows what he'll look like as a basketball player now. Like, okay, that's not good. So it's really kind of high leverage situation for them right now to figure this out one way or another.
I will say that the saving grace for them is the haul of like draft picks they got along with Simmons in the Harden trade. So even if it all blows up, it's not the same way. You don't have to go back that far to see, the Nets blow up. Like when kind of the Garnett Pierce trade didn't work. They're in almost the opposite situation from that. Whereas if this team like bottoms out, they have a head start instead of having to, recoup all of these draft picks they're already out, in addition to being bad on the floor. So it's not the worst spot you could be in. And
it's important that they recoup those just because they gave so many to Houston, in pick swaps and just straight up for Harden in the first place. Like, they're really just kind of, I'm going to use a phrase and I'm probably wrong in using it, but Occam's razor. Like, they really are just kind of playing with fire here with how they do it. And you know what? I don't feel bad.
You mean when Occam had that super thin cell phone? That's what you're talking about? That razor?
The Motorola Razor, which we all know about.
It was like, is the call going to work? Is it not going to work? Does he have service? Is it not have service? Like, we don't know. That's the whole thing of Occam's razor, as we all know.
I just wanted Seth to have to put his head down there, and really get hurt on that one, for my stupidity. But more importantly, like, I just don't know, like, what do they do? Like, it's
guys, I'm going to interrupt you. We got to pick. Shams Charania.
Got to pick.
Orlando selects Paolo Banchero out of Duke with the number 1 pick. I love this pick. I absolutely love this pick. He's my favorite player in this draft. I understand the defensive concerns. That's never really a big thing for me. I understand the defensive concerns, but dude's a 6'10" point forward. He's a bully. I think his jumper is workable. It's good enough. I think he adds what I believe either Jay or Mo said earlier of, like, they need a score. Like, this team can't score. And he can score. He can score on the block. He can score in the mid-range. I think the three-point shot will eventually be there. I think he's going to get to the free throw line a ton. Like, I love this pick for Orlando.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I think this was the right decision. We don't know what Jabari Smith can do with his dribble. Just off the dribble game scares me. I'm not sure he can really dribble all that well. This is a big-time play for them. I think this is a smart move.
I don't love it. I don't love it. Just
you were a Chet guy, weren't you, Seth?
I was.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you truth serum me, who would I take number 1? If I had the guts to, it would be Jaden Ivey. But if you're limiting yourself to sort of the consensus top 3, I would have been a Chet guy, just because there's just so many more ways for him to be good. And I'm worried because Banchero is almost the exact player type that we see every year in the playoffs kind of loses their way a little bit.
Yeah,
sort of that slower swing 4, can't play the 5, can't guard 3s necessarily. Like, these are players who have problems. So that worries me. Now, he could be good enough that doesn't matter. But that's the thing that would worry me about just the player archetype that you're getting with Banchero.
And he could also become the 6'10", 265-pound house who becomes passable enough defensively that you have a huge defense, right? Like let's say he does learn to move his feet at a decent level, which he wasn't terrible in ISO situation. Like, he actually has pretty quick feet some of the time when he tries.
What a set of qualifiers there. He actually has sort of quick feet some of the time when he tries.
I mean, we're not going to give him grade A for defense here.
I'm going to give you a grade A for bullshit right there. Like, that is amazing.
There's such a diversity to his offensive game that nobody else near the top of this draft could match. He can beat you in the post. He can beat you outside. He can beat you with a pass. He can beat you off the bounce. He can run pick and roll. He can be the screener in pick and roll. Like, he just does a whole lot. And when he was playing at his best, there was nothing even the best defenses could do against him. I do think offensively, like this is the best prospect in the draft. That said, the defensive issues, like Seth said, could really matter, especially when you get a guy his size that can't play defense at a high level. That really matters far more than it does if you pick a guard who can't defend.
But like we're too worried about like if they make the playoffs. This is the number. They have the number 1 pick because they're not going
to
make the playoffs.
They're 24-60, right? Like they're so far away from that. And just the fact that like now they have a better option at the end of games than Cole Anthony, right? Like I think there's
Cole Anthony is a problem in the fourth quarters, especially against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Okay, well if they can only play Minnesota,
he lights the Wolves up in the fourth quarter, man. What a killer!
No problem. But
what
I think
an accomplishment.
But I think those are the things you're kind of watching for.
Hey, that's the 7 seed Minnesota Timberwolves. Thank you very much.
Buddy. Buddy. Anybody gonna glue themselves to the floor again, or is that too okay? Sorry. But I just think he adds an element to them that they've not had. I think it's important for them to kind of switch it up a little bit. I just really like the pick, and I think I'll worry about the playoffs when they make the playoffs.
Yeah,
let's just see. Let's get there, and I think him and Wagner are going to play well together.
Yeah, I think if you look at yes, even if his defense is a problem, in theory, like if they keep him, Mo Bamba, rim protector, right, and moves okay on the perimeter. Franz Wagner, I think, is a good defender as his career progresses. Jalen Suggs can defend. Like he's a guy who's going to be able to get after it. Like it's not like it's a bunch of guys who are like, oh, Paolo, will you please save us defensively? Like I think they have enough in theory to cover that up. And like I just think all he has
their
to do
roster
is
will not look like this if they do get to the playoff. Like it will be.
It's going to look exactly like this. It's going to look exactly like this. Just don't mark
in the East. Like what are we going to
So I understand what Mo is saying, and I think you're right. You don't worry about
stop talking.
Yeah, no, you don't worry about who he fits next to or anything like that. When you're where Orlando is, I do think that when you're picking at 1 in the draft, you what are we trying to build here? Are we just trying to get the 7th seed, or are we trying to put ourselves in title contention? And the best place to get those players is for a team that's bad is in the draft. So I think you do have to think about that.
But was there anybody in this draft that you thought was going to make them a even 3 years, 4 years from now? You're going, this is going to be a title contender?
Baby.
I do love Jaden Ivey. Let's talk Jaden Ivey. I love that.
Well, I think we'll get there in about 2 picks, but yeah.
Oh, how about this?
Predictions?
Are we certain Jaden Ivey won't go 3 to Houston? Are they definitely going to go get Jabari Smith because he's there? Or maybe you put Jaden in the backcourt with Jalen Green and all of a sudden we got a stew going, baby.
That's got a stew going. Jesus.
So that's a lot of cooks in the kitchen with Porter Jr. and Jalen Green.
I think we could jettison Porter Jr. at some point. Like he's nice. I like him, but I don't think. But I wouldn't be making my 3rd pick based on is Kevin Porter Jr. going to fit.
Can we talk about Kenyon Martin Jr. requesting a trade, because that was my favorite part of the whole offseason so far.
I love that.
He's like, you know what? We've got the number 3 pick coming in. There are like maybe 3 professional basketball players on this team now. I don't see room for myself anymore.
Right,
guys, we have breaking news. Shams Charania. Sources: Oklahoma City selects Chet Holmgren at number 2.
That's a franchise-changing move right there, boys.
Is there enough protein powder in Oklahoma City, just in the state of Oklahoma, to beef up both Poku and Chet?
So did you guys see there was like a science article that came out today about how Jupiter got bigger because it used to eat other planets? And I feel like you need to smash those.
I did not see that. I
was like, there's no way Jay read this article. There's not a chance in hell.
I thought you meant the read an article
about Jay read a BuzzFeed article, like the 37 signs that science is a lie. Like he's like, I read that.
So smash Chet and Poku together, and then create the super destroyer, the destroyer of worlds.
You still have a guy that needs to put on weight.
Like, it doesn't fix anything. Still skeletons. It doesn't. You might even have gotten skinnier. Like I don't know.
Somehow.
I'll tell you what, Chet's father could probably be in the
Chet's
the
father
Oklahoma
looks
City
like
rotation.
Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah.
That's who I thought it was at first. I was like, wait a second. What's going on here?
I just hate how hunched Chet looks all the time. Every picture I see
just got his whole body is just so narrow, right? Like even like there's some skinny guys that have come into the league that just haven't been this narrow.
I mean,
but
Brandon
that's why you
Ingram was
hate
really
it.
the last one.
Yeah, Ingram was the last one, and but like KG had a wide frame, right? Like guys, certain guys have come in with wide frames. Like he's just so narrow.
It's wild.
He's a 7'1" Tayshaun Prince with more offensive game.
And a lot more bursts.
So, all right, I just want to recap the audience at home. I'm going to dip into the group chat here, okay?
I was just going to ask you for that.
We've had 4 comparisons now from Jay. Well, no, I won't say from who. From sources in this.
No, it's Jay. No, screw it, Jay. Jay said
it was all me.
Sources say that Chet has been compared to Hassan Whiteside with a motor, Sean Bradley with guard skills,
and guard skills. I said.
If Tyler Hero was a 7'1" depoy, but just as swaggy, and now a 7-foot Tayshaun Prince, but with offensive game.
And Darrell Wright if he were 7 inches taller, and an American Bo Cruz.
Wow.
I forgot about the Darrell Wright if he was 7 inches taller.
I'll be honest, the best comp I heard was, and this was DA going old school. Earlier this week was Ralph Sampson. I thought that was a really interesting.
I like that one. Yeah,
I thought that was really interesting. Having just said that he would have been 1 overall for me. I really like this pick, obviously, for Oklahoma City. I think again between the shooting and the defense, and the fact that he's a guy who's always been skinny, but has always managed to be productive. It's not like a guy who's all of a sudden going up another level and now he's skinny. And I think that is a difference.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that it kind of, in a weird way, reminds me of Earl Boykins when asked, like, how can you do this against all these big guys? He's like, everyone's always been bigger than me. So it's no different, right? Like, it's like, I do think that there is something to that. We have, I believe, breaking news. Looks like Jabari Smith is going to go number 3. I still want to talk about Chet a little bit here. Seth, in terms of what Oklahoma City is putting together, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think we all agree is a star, or a star in the making if they will let him play in the second half of seasons. I think he could really put. He could. I mean, they still won't do that, but I like the idea of him as kind of the main guy here. They've got a lot of nice young players that they're trying to develop, but Chet is the other guy who can like maybe be a star here. Do you like the fit of everything so far? Trying to see, I guess 4 or 5 years down the road is when they're going to try to really be something here. Maybe they move some of these assets earlier and try to go get another star.
For where Oklahoma City is, I don't care much about fit, and I don't think they do either. So I think it's just like, let's get some really good players. Like Shai is maybe a borderline all-star player. To be a conference finals type team, he needs to be your second or third best player. So they're trying to not just a guy who can run with Shai, but a guy who can step up above him on the ladder.
Right.
So they're whoever they think is the guy who's most able to do that. That's what they're going to do every time. And for better or worse, I think they're going to keep cycling until they find that.
I think he's going to have a good chance to developing good chemistry with actually Josh Giddey. I think there's going to be a lot of fun in like a pick and pop kind of game there between the two of them. I think there's going to be a good sort of connection between those guys. Like, I like this for them, even in terms of fit, just for where OKC's going. And we all know I'm not shy at all about bashing the Thunder and their tanking habits, but this is a good step forward for what they're trying to build. Now, if they can just get these guys to, play towards, March and April would be nice. And see how that all kind of plays out. But I think this is a good fit for them. I think everything kind of works well with them. And, they can finally jettison Poku.
Jettison Poku.
Poku, man. You're already casting.
Might lose him in the couch. I don't know if they can jettison him.
He's got to be careful. Like, he can't go to New York. He'll fall right through a storm drain. Like, it's not you got to be careful with all of that stuff.
He might.
Poor Jabari Smith, dressed like nice and classy. and that causes draft fall. I think you cannot.
You think that's the reason he fell in the draft?
You cannot come well dressed to the draft.
Chet locked in the number 2 selection when he dressed like a Tim Burton character.
Exactly.
Like that's when you were like, okay, we know Chet's not going to fall, but Jabari falls to 3 because he's just dressed normal.
Like
he's dressed not even normal, just above and beyond. Well, I think Jabari's won it so far. Dress wise.
Andrew Schlecht live from his own show in OKC.
OKC is loving it.
Nobody else is chanting with him.
There's like 3 people. I see like 3 people are chanting. Schlecht described this scene. It is now Czechoslovakia in Oklahoma City. How are things?
Well, we got the number 1 guy on Zach Harper's mock draft, so we're all feeling really good here in OKC.
How much do you think he'll be a star? Like how likely is Chet's stardom?
It's really hard to say, honestly. You can see him being a really productive player as like a rim protector and then a play finisher. As far as like a star goes, I think that really remains to be seen what he can be as an offensive player in the half court. Transition is going to be great, but can you be a star as a rim protector and a good player in transition? I'm not sure.
What are you worried about other than like frame, right? Like I think we all get the physical aspect of him, but like are there any other concerns for Chet with this organization, with what they're trying to build outside of just like physical frame?
I don't know, honestly. I think that he's got a lot going for him as a shooter, as a guy that can finish around the rim. I mean, he finished at like 80% at the rim at Gonzaga, which I think is really important. So I think that just remains to be seen. I'm not sure. I don't know what it looks like with a really good point guard playing with him in a more open offense. I honestly don't know what that looks like. They're not going to be playing high-low with Derek Favors, so I'm not really sure exactly what that's going to look like in OKC.
Shots fired at Derek Favors, who, by the way, searches everything about himself on Twitter with his name, not just ats,
but
everybody.
Behind you right now, Andrew.
I'm sure he is. I hope he's wearing that.
Is he looming? Is he looming behind it?
Schlecht, how likely are we to see Chet past?
Oh no!
What happened?
It's the Kings. It's always the Kings.
They're selecting Keegan Murray at number 4. That was predictable, guys. I told you this was going to happen. Keegan Murray is
to take another point guard. They refuse to take another point guard.
That's a win for Jaden Ivey. That's a win.
It's a win for Jaden Ivey. I actually, I don't think the Kings necessarily screwed this up.
I'm going to bounce because I'm so loud. You guys have a great night.
Thank you, Schlecht. Enjoy the party there with the 1,000 picks that the Thunder have tonight. We'll check in back with you at number 12
when they trade the next pick.
Okay, we didn't even really talk Jabari Smith at 3. We'll get back to that. Hold on. Let's see the graphic. I want to see the graphic for Jabari Smith because it's a sexy job done by our design team. I love this graphic. I think he is spectacular as a trail guy in transition. I watched so much video of Jabari Smith the past week, and that dude is like absolute lights out money when it comes to that trailing 3-point shot in transition. And I think once you start having to jump out at that, I do think he'll have enough taking the ball on the floor and getting to the basket and having some good finishes around the rim. But I am like, to me, he looks like a star role player, not a star.
He's like supercharged Rashard Lewis to me, which is
that's a
really
good player.
Which is really good.
Rashard Lewis was an all-star. So
he was an all-star.
Yeah.
Also,
supercharged Rashard Lewis. We're getting reckless here.
Let's just say Rashard Lewis.
I think he's going to be good. Don't get me wrong.
Important is that Rashard Lewis also was not just an all-star in the NBA. He was an all-star in the Common movie, Just Right. He was on the all-star team where Common plays a basketball player in the NBA.
Is that a
double
eligible?
I don't believe it is, actually.
But my thing with Jabari is he just needed to take so many contested shots, and he was fantastic at them, but he could not create anything better a lot of the time than just some turnaround contested mid-range bullshit. And so he needs a lot of work on his handle. He needs a lot of work on his skill, but the shot, the size, the athleticism, it's all there.
I mean,
and so that's at least a very good place to begin. And if you're just a good shooter at 6'10" who can defend, that's super valuable in the first place. Now, if you can add all the other parts to your game, then you could really be cooking.
I mean, I think what you're hoping for is Michael Porter Jr. who can defend.
Yeah, that would be quite a player.
I don't think he has those handles that Michael Porter Jr. has, but I think the ultimate thing is this is a great pick for Houston, just in the sense of they actually have somebody that can play defense, and now they could pair with Şengün, somebody that they can, play a little 2-man game with Jalen Green. I think this is going to be a fun squad to watch here. I think they're actually putting together a pretty damn good team in general with everything that they have. He fits kind of perfectly into what they're trying to do and what they're missing the most.
Can we shit on the Kings now for taking?
Okay. Real quick, I want to say one thing real quick is I think that the Rockets are in a much better position with Jabari as the 4 than Christian Wood is the 4. And I know it wasn't an either or thing, but you're just Christian Wood's numbers may be better, but I think Jabari is such a better fit for everything they want to do in theory. It's not just a dude getting numbers. It's a dude who can actually contribute on both ends of the floor. And I think that's going to be big for their development as a team and as a rebuilding roster. Now, look, all right. I can't believe I'm going to say it. I don't think this is a bad pick by the Kings. Okay. I don't think Keegan Murray is a bad pick. I don't think it's the best pick they could have made necessarily, but somehow I've heard for a while now that Vivek was locked in on Keegan Murray as the guy that he prefers. We all saw that video from 2014.
Everyone knows that when Vivek gets locked in, it's normally the right.
But we all saw that video from 2014 where he was like Nick Stauskas. He told me that he hit 92 of 100 from 3 in a shooting session. It's not even I saw it. It was he told me he did this.
I have no reason to doubt that.
Sure. I mean, I've seen the videos of him and his brothers shooting in the backyard. I've spent 50 minutes on YouTube watching all those before, back in 2014, 2015. I've been there, but so it doesn't shock me that Keegan Murray is the pick. I do think Jaden Ivey is a better player, but I think Keegan Murray is a good fit for whatever the hell the Kings are trying to do.
So I was 100% wrong on the 4th pick last year. I thought Jalen Suggs was the automatic choice. I thought Scotty Barnes was wrong. I am 100% confident this year I'm right that Keegan Murray is not the choice.
I mean,
let's
talk benefit of the doubt. Let's talk benefit of the doubt. Toronto Raptors, Sacramento Kings.
Right.
There's,
So, guys, let me throw this at you, okay? This is the first player drafted in the first round from Iowa since
Ray Marble,
1998.
Ooh.
Wow. Ricky Davis.
Oh no!
Out of Iowa to the Hornets at number 21.
What a great picture!
These are
graphic. That is
big
incredible
shoes to fill.
What a great picture!
Position.
Shout
gunner.
out to Dave and to Jerome for making that graphic happen. But yes, the first round pick out of Iowa since Ricky Davis in 1998. That's a lot of pressure.
I mean, you went to Sacramento, so now your expectations have dropped significantly because they just don't produce guys.
Look, I can't believe that I'm defending the Kings here, but
no.
Think here's what
I'll say.
No. But wait.
Go ahead, Mo.
The thing I'll say is the first 4 picks have been actually pretty surprising in the sense of it's all been fit. It's all been guys that fit into this team and where they need to go. Yeah, I know you go nuts. But I think it all kind of works perfectly for these teams, like guys that they need, right? Jaden Ivey's probably the better player, but what is he going to do in a packed backcourt with everything like that? Now you have Keegan Murray.
Could ship that other guy out of there.
They tried, didn't work. They had to ship the other guy that pissed all the Kings fans off. So I don't know if there's much you could do about that, but I think the Murray kind of fills that need. Somebody that can play along Sabonis, can work with Fox and all of that. I think it's kind of just interesting that the first 4 picks have been fit.
Isn't it crazy the Kings couldn't convince the Knicks to take De'Aaron Fox at the trade deadline?
I mean, it's
Damn right.
Now
Ricky
they
Davis.
paired Ivey with Cade Cunningham. That's what the Kings have done. They have put Jaden Ivey with Cade Cunningham in what is going to be such a dynamic backcourt for so long.
I think one thing we've definitely seen over the years is that having multiple ball handlers is a terrible thing.
It's an awful.
So I like wanting to avoid that.
That's why Luka isn't in Sacramento in the first place.
Okay, like if you like in a vacuum, think, okay, I think Keegan Murray is going to be a better NBA player. Fine, you pick him. If you're not drafting him because I don't know, we picked Davion Mitchell last year. What are we doing? Like, I'm
a great question.
I'm aghast here. I'm
aghast.
I don't think Murray's bad. I think Murray's a good player. Like I think that's a good player.
We're trashing Murray like he's garbage.
But here's the thing that worries me about Murray is for a guy who was like the offense for his team, had the ball all the time, averaged 1.5 assists last year. Like, if you have the ball in your hands all the time, unless you're Zach Harper, I see on your face.
Iowa guys in the first round do not need to pass. Ricky Davis, Keegan Murray. That's what they do.
Where was Ricky Davis picked?
21st.
Okay.
And that was a mistake.
Draft, though, man. Carter, Dirk Nowitzki, all Hall of Famers got picked there. Jay Will, Mike Bibby. Well, I guess those guys aren't Hall of Famers, but they could be.
My concerns with Keegan are more on the defensive end. I just don't think he's going to be a great defender, and he has the size and he has some of the stocks stuff, but I don't think he can really keep people in front of him at a super high level. I don't think he's going to be more than like an okay defender.
Sounds like a perfect king.
And if you can't really pass and you're not a great defender, then yeah, maybe you're a perfect king. That's true.
It's interesting. Sacramento was so mad at me because I wrote that. I was like, if they do try to trade for John Collins, it's a horrible fit. This is something dumb that they would do because these two don't fit together. If you think about it, like Domantas Sabonis, you couldn't really have a good defense with him and Miles Turner. Clint Capella and John Collins have decided or have struggled to defend consistently together. So what do? Oh, let's put the two worst defenders from those two groupings together in Collins and Sabonis. Like that idea just is insane to me. But I'm kind of in on this Keegan Murray pick. I like him.
I think it's a good pick. I think for a team that's literally and Seth, they've gone over and over again, drafted the best player available each time, and it's not panned out for them. You know, well, I mean that whole draft doesn't. That whole draft doesn't.
That's not Monty McNair. We can't play. That's a Vlade special, baby.
We're gonna keep trashing them, but they made it a change, and they're trying to do something different and get better.
Guys, we have breaking news, as you can see on the TV. Jaden Ivey goes 5th to Detroit. It's a little surprising to me just because I thought they would be locked in on more of a wing. But Jaden Ivey, my second favorite player in this draft. I love him. I think that he's going to – I don't like the comparisons to Ja Morant. I think those are very odd and just kind of lazy and unfair. I get from an athleticism standpoint, even then it seems like Ja is a better athlete than him. But this is a dude that gets downhill, attacks. We talked to John Hollinger earlier. He talked about how they had two post players, so it kind of clogged up the lane. Jaden Ivey at this level, Jay, you mentioned it, like next to Cade Cunningham. I think Sadiq Bey is really good. Like they might go get DeAndre Ayton in restricted free agency if they can pull off a sign and trade. That becomes a little more complicated, but we'll see how that goes. But I think this is a really fun pick for the Pistons.
And Cade Cunningham allows you to do this because he can play point guard, but he can also play the 2. He can play the 3. He can just play whatever. And so his versatility is huge for them. And I think Ivey gives you some of that too. Like he doesn't have to be on the ball either. You look back when he played on Team USA and he was doing some of the dirty work. He was defending. He was being like a glue guy. And so I believe, first of all, in Jaden Ivey's athleticism, that dude is a rare freak. I do agree some of the Ja Morant comparisons are lazy, but when you look at him and you look at the combination of power and agility and burst, it just jumps out in a way that few guys do, and Ja Morant being one of those. But then also, I believe in how much he's progressed. Like as a freshman at Purdue, this guy was really not very good. He comes back second year and he still has holes in his game, but tears people up. Yeah. And so I'm a believer in all of that. Most of all, is just his athleticism. I do think it's not really, to me at least, and I think this could be up for debate, but his shortcomings aren't about a lack of feel, but more a lack of skill. And I think that's a really important distinction, because you can add skill, but feel sometimes is really tough to add.
So I know you guys are calling that comparison lazy, but the thing is, he just is able to get to the rim in a way that not as at the level Ja Morant can, but still at a point where that's what it reminds me of. And that's the thing I watch when I see him. You know, when I'm watching these games, it's like they know where he's going, and he's still able to get to the basket each time. Sometimes a little bit wild with the layups and those finishes. But the bigger thing was, and Jay, you touched on it. And what's up, Boogie? The bigger thing that you touched on was his defense for Team USA. Like, I went back and watched that game against France. He did a great job. There's one play in particular that stands out. He pulls in on the pick and roll, comes back out, picks off the pass to the corner, goes the other way for the dunk. Like, he's going to do a lot of the work. I think this is going to be a lot of fun with him in Detroit.
And Jay made a good point about like the shortcomings being skill based, and something we need to think about with that is these are guys like the players in the draft this year are players who haven't played as much basketball the last couple of years. So that like it's not that he has had the chance and hasn't developed. It's like the reps haven't necessarily been there the same way they've been for guys who, you know, they've had their, you know, 3 summers of AAU and you know a summer with Team USA and stuff like that. So maybe that's reading too much into it, but I think there's going to be a lot of sort of unusually big skill jumps in this class because of that. Just because they haven't had these reps, and now they're going to get great reps working with like NBA coaching to get the really valuable skill development reps. So I think that, you know, some skill shortages are more likely to be made up in this draft than maybe others.
Okay, we got number 6 pick. Benedict Mathurin out of Arizona is going to the Indiana Pacers. He's actually someone where I thought that the Pistons might pass on Jaden Ivey to get him because he had a very impressive workout with them. Apparently destroyed Shaedon Sharpe in a workout. Like, he's someone who's risen really high. I love him. I think he's going to be excellent. I don't exactly know what the Pacers are doing. There's some rumors that they're trying to get rid of Brogdon. Some rumors they're trying to, you know, kick the tires on a potential Miles Turner trade after Miles has been kind of wanting that for a while now. But I like this pick. I think it's a good pick. They need wings who can play like him. They most likely lose TJ Warren in, not more. I mean, he's more of like a stretch forward than a wing, but they lose TJ Warren most likely in free agency this year, even though he hasn't really been around the last 2 seasons. But I think this is a really fun pick for the Pacers and someone to get excited about.
I'm a huge Mathurin guy. And I think part of the reason why I'm a little hesitant to be all in on him is because the production didn't always match just how easy he made it look. And I think the smoothness that he played with kind of made it hard for me to evaluate him. But then he reached a level in that tournament game against TCU that might have been as well as anybody played the entire tournament, except maybe that half when Drew Timme had like 90 points. I just think there's another level for Mathurin to reach. I love his competitiveness. He plays with an edge. He has a lot to his game. He can shoot. I don't rule it out of him becoming like a primary creator type. And if he gets there, just watch out. But baseline, I think he should be a very valuable player who can put it in the hoop, but also defend a little, although he needs to work on his focus.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a lot in a very extended role. You know, they asked him to be more of a scorer. They asked him to do stuff on a higher volume, and he mostly kept his efficiency, right? It dipped some, but like for the most part, like to keep the efficiency to where it was with that kind of increase in production. I don't know what the models are for that. I don't know what the what you would expect that to translate to the NBA level, but to me, that's an encouraging sign when it doesn't just absolutely drop off the face of the earth because you're like, hey, take 13, 14 shots a game now instead of 8, 9, 10.
I mean, I just kind of look at it going like now with Duarte and everybody just jacking up shots. Like the bigger question is, I don't know what Indiana's doing. Like, I don't have the idea. Like Zach talking about kicking the tires of Miles, trading Miles Turner. That tire's got to be gone by now. They've been kicking those tires for like 4 years now at this
Can
point.
you kick the tread off a tire? I think you might be able to. Yeah.
I mean, if you can, Indiana has done that and has proven that they can at this point. Like, I'm kind of a little bit confused, but with what they're trying to do, and maybe we'll get more clarity down the road if they finally pull off a Brogdon trade and start kind of figuring out what they're going to put together as a team. But I just feel like Indiana, the one thing I'll say is they're just trying to get talent. That's it for them, and this was one of those things, a pick Seth's going to love because it was best available for them probably.
I don't know if I love the player, but yeah, if you think he's the best player, you pick him. And this is kind of getting to the part of the draft where it's like it's a lot eye of the beholder. I mean, I think that it seemed like for most people, the 5 guys who went first were the give or take Shaedon Sharpe were kind of the 5 guys they had at the top. And so now this is an interesting spot in any draft where it's there's these sort of cut lines of where now we start to see very different player evaluations start to kick in.
We've got a man who has been accused of stalking Russell Westbrook around the beat in the NBA, Fred Katz. Fred, thank you for joining us. Are you expecting, 1, Russell Westbrook to end up on the Knicks at some point, or 2, are you expecting Jaden Ivey to potentially end up on the Knicks? Are they trying to trade for him even though Detroit selected him?
First of all, and I don't know if it's way too loud here.
You're good.
To be decent.
Way better than OKC.
Well, I will say that you accuse me of stalking Russell Westbrook, but what is reporting if not socially acceptable stalking? It's all.
That's a great point.
I literally travel around the country so I can just ask 15 men questions after they play basketball games. Well, 17, because I don't want to take away. I don't want to do two-way guy erasure, but that's really all I do. I just sit in a room waiting for Tom Thibodeau to walk in so I can ask him a question I know he's not going to answer. I will say if my life is any indication, yes, Russell Westbrook will play for the Knicks. And I know I saw Jake Fisher's report that the Knicks are still pursuing Jaden Ivey. I don't really know how it's going to happen after Detroit already made the pick, and I think Jaden Ivey would be a pretty fantastic fit next to Cade Cunningham. I kind of love that. I kind of really like Detroit's core, so I imagine it would just take an extraordinary haul in order to pry him away from Detroit. That's just kind of my personal evaluation. That's not based on sources or anything, but I mean, I would be surprised if they ended up with Jaden Ivey. They probably would have offered some huge haul before Detroit made the pick if they were going to.
So what do you expect the Knicks to do? There's been a lot of rumors about them trying to move up. There's been a lot of rumors about who they're comfortable with if they stay at 11. Is the plan to just like, we've got to get someone who can create on the perimeter? We've got to get a big man. Like what's the plan for the Knicks?
I think if you look at their history with this front office, with Leon Rose at the helm, with Tom Thibodeau there, they have a type. They have guys who are these kind of try-hard defenders, who are gritty, who are hard-nosed.
Bulls from the 2011 team. Yes.
Exactly. Look, there is a thing in this league that you don't need sources to know. It's being able to pick out which sort of player is a Tibbs player. It is so easy to choose from afar what kind of player is a Tibbs player. I think they like Johnny Davis, for example, and I think he's a Tibbs player. Like, I think that's the guy who would make sense for them. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up sliding down. They didn't make the 11th pick. I wouldn't be surprised they ended up just kind of punting on 11 and picking a little bit later in the draft. I think Johnny Davis could be somebody who fits their type, the Quentin Grimes type, the Miles McBride type, kind of that hard-nosed, hard-playing sort of player. If Sohan is there, he's a very weird basketball fit with a guy like RJ Barrett and with Julius Randle, because he's another guy who doesn't shoot the three, and those guys are much better inside the three-point line. But he's also somebody who fits that type too. I think they'll have a number of options. I think they like Dyson Daniels as well. So we'll see what they end up going with.
What's the weirdest or what's the worst trade rumor you've heard about the Knicks so far this offseason that you kind of want to believe?
Wow. What
I'll give you one if you need some time to think of one.
Give me one for inspiration.
So this is one that I cannot substantiate this at all. This is a like fourth hand source, and I couldn't get anyone to back it up. But someone told me that Julius Randle and the 11 were offered for the 4, but the Kings turned it down.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying because I'm confirming that that's true.
Right.
I actually don't believe it to be true. But I think they are definitely Dyson Daniels going number 8. I think they are definitely very willing to get off of Randle, who they gave a 4-year extension to last year. And Julius Randle is a guy who has been proposed to me of could you trade him for 4, which is ridiculous after the Kings traded for DeMontis Sabonis. Like, hey,
right.
now that we traded a really good young guard for DeMontis Sabonis, why don't we trade a really good young guard for another DeMontis Sabonis?
I mean, this sounds no. It does make perfect sense when you think about it. It's the Kings. Like that's the Kings.
It is the Kings.
29 other teams, you'd be like, that's weird. The Kings, you go like, possible.
Why don't we bring in the one big man who's even more left-handed than DeMontis Sabonis?
Yeah. No. They can't stop us going left. We got 2 of them.
Yeah.
Next up,
that's the thinking.
Young. Yep.
That's it.
Exactly.
Fred, we'll get you out of this. What's your prediction for the 11th pick? Do you think it's Johnny Davis?
Yeah, I'll guess Johnny Davis, and I'm sure I'll be horribly incorrect, but that's how I live. So I'll go Johnny Davis. Yeah.
Fred Katz, thanks, buddy.
Fred Katz, the horribly incorrect stalker.
Fred Katz, admitted stalker of grown-ups. Just
okay with that. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's get. We've got a couple of picks to catch up to here. Shaedon Sharpe, technically out of Kentucky, goes 7 to Portland.
Sort of.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, he like went to Kentucky for a bit. He didn't play there, but he's someone who was the number one. He was the number one player in his class at one point. And then, I think got reclassified, ends up in Kentucky, doesn't end up playing. He decides to I'm going to.
Do you love Shaedon Sharpe?
Me?
Yes, you.
He is
a chucker.
I watched one single game of his, and I fell in love. This dude was pulling up in high school from 35 for no reason. He was jacking shots when teammates were wide open. He was like, nah, I got this. And he was shredding in this. I watched some film of him, but I watched one game in particular, one full game, and I was like, how is this guy not the number one pick? This guy's incredible. We haven't seen him play basketball since the 7th grade, but I'm all in on Shaedon Sharpe. Yes, I love this pick for Portland.
We are nobody else because he hasn't he's done a couple workouts, but other than that, he's been under wraps, which is what are you hiding? This is one of those things that he went 7th, so you can't say it didn't work, but
right.
I just this is the kind of thing that I think a lot of teams are gonna okay, well, if you're not gonna show us at the combine or in a workout, we're gonna assume it's bad. So it's almost like they're doing a disservice. The agent or whoever is deciding this is a good idea. So I mean it's with 7th, so whatever.
It's one of those guys that either gets you a ton of praise or gets you fired. Right, we could have told you this dude wasn't going to be a guy. He didn't play all year.
You just took over the job though in the front office. You can't get fired off.
He was a super high prospect in high school. And he does some stuff that very few people do. He's also even back in high school, he was very tough to evaluate just because he takes so many tough shots that if he doesn't become a super good tough shot maker, there'll be bad shots. But if he does become that, which is very rare, then he'll just be that's a very tough player to find, the guy who has to step back threes.
and in all seriousness, that's sort of I think we've all seen, the guy who's a ballyhooed report gets to college, and it turns out that he at the high school level, the AAU level, the level of physical dominance really made up for a lack of feel or some skill deficiencies. And that's why even the 1 year of college is just so important to be able, okay, well, he's passed that test. It wasn't all just level of competition. And so not having seen that is just a huge risk factor from the team that's drafting him perspective.
All right, what about Dyson Daniels? He goes from the G League Ignite team to New Orleans at number 8.
Dyson
This
Daniels.
was the Lakers pick that went to New Orleans as part of that Anthony Davis trade. Dyson Daniels, I don't know if he's good, but I know that I'm super intrigued. I'm super intrigued by like 6'7" point guard, combo guard, long arms, like pretty athletic and quick and nimble. Has good vision. I just like, if he can't shoot, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
I mean, my thing is he may not be able to shoot, but he is going to be a 6'7" dude who can do some point guard stuff and guard at least any of the perimeter positions. Right. And that enough with feel on the other end, like very good passer, all that stuff. I just feel the level of feel that he has is rare, and at his size is pretty special, and sets him up to, even if he doesn't become a shooter, to be a good player in the NBA. I see very room for him to fail.
Breaking news, according to James Edwards III, who has some questionable fits but does some good reporting. The Pistons are keeping Jaden Ivey despite several attempts from rival teams to acquire him. So it's an update on the Jaden Ivey Detroit Pistons situation.
Sorry, Knicks fans. Let's just be honest. But
I'm gonna watch so many Pistons fans games. Pistons games next season.
They're gonna be so much fun.
How many Pistons games I'm gonna watch?
Is it gonna be worse than you fawning over the second half Sacramento Kings, saying I believe in them? I'm a fan.
I watch the Kings every night. Them in their -5 net rating after the trade deadline, and I loved every second.
They were -4.9 net rating before the trade, -5.9 after the trade. He's like, they got better. Like they were more fun. They had the 4th worst offense. This is an offensive team. They had the 4th worst offense in the league after the trade. I
can't wait for you guys to see them flourish under Mike Brown.
Wow. A sentence not ever really uttered very often. But I love where Daniels is going, though. I think this is a good position for him in New Orleans, too. And I think something we don't probably talk about too often, but Fred Vincent has done a great job helping guys with their shooting touch. So there's if he's going to be able to shoot, Fred Vincent is going to try to be able to get it out of him. If he's not, then Fred's just going to be like, all right, well, they're screwed. But I think just positionally, there's not much he's got to worry about for New Orleans. I think they're pretty well set with what they have. And I think this is just another piece to add on, a guy they can develop and groom, and he doesn't have to come in right away and really deliver for them. So I think this is going to be a good opportunity for him and a good place for New Orleans to kind of develop. And if he gets the shot going, damn, like they got quite a player. You're muted.
People have talked about the shooting. I'm very professional tonight. People have talked about the shooting, and for playing alongside Zion, that's kind of important for everybody else on the team, and so that's going to be a pretty big swing scale.
Well, is it important? My dog's got some thoughts on this. Is it important for you to be able to shoot if Zion can just go clean everything up at the rim? Like he can just kind of go get the misses and everything. Like I understand there is a spacing aspect to it, but I do feel like a healthy Zion can kind of game break a lot of those conventional ideas.
It's just a matter of whether, against better teams, that your man is just sitting at the rim. It's a combination of ability to shoot and even if he's only shooting 33% willingness to shoot when he's open.
But how many minutes do you think Daniels is actually going to get this coming season?
Oh no, yeah,
I don't think. Yeah. I mean, this is almost just a development pick.
You can't take minutes away from
if he gets a lot of minutes this season, he's either amazing or they're in the deep shit next season.
Right. Like something went terribly wrong. Yeah, it's along those lines. So I think this is just one of those picks, and why I liked it. Whoever they took at 8, I thought was going to be just kind of hey, let's take a flyer. Let's see if we can develop a guy. They've had good history with improving guys' shooting forms and things like that. why not? You know, like
and
this
a
is
big
worth the
playmaking
swing.
guard is kind of perfect for everything they've got. They don't need him to go out being a scorer. They've got scoring. Like he will have to space a little bit, but that's a nice pickup down the road for them. All right, we've got breaking news. Jeremy Sochan. Is it Sochan or Sachin? Sohan.
Sohan. Like
that
Zohan.
C is silent. I've been saying like an idiot this whole time.
Yes.
Jeremy Sohan going to the San Antonio Spurs, who I don't think are trading DeJounte Murray. That seemed like a crazy trade rumor to me. But they are taking Jeremy Sohan. He feels like a very Spurs player, Mo. Like he kind of a, I guess, listed as a wing forward. Like that dude's just a forward to me. I like a lot of what he can do. He reminds me a little bit of Kyle Anderson in some of the ways he does stuff, but I think this is a great pick for the Spurs. I like all these picks so far. I'm in on this entire draft. I'm so hopeful tonight.
You are.
This is so rare. Tonight. It's rare. I actually don't know.
Pick. That's how messed up I am about this draft. I even like the Kings pick.
Are you okay?
No. The answer is never yes to that question.
No, this is a perfect fit for the Spurs in the sense of just another big man. We don't know what's going to happen with Jakob Poeltl, but I think just his ability to kind of be a bit of a solid defender, playmaker. I think this sort of just works with everything that they have with what they're trying to build for. They got several. Oh, Seth's upset. What do you have, Seth?
No, how did I fall this deep into basketball nerddom? You did this.
You clicked the link on the internet.
You already
that's not Suits 416. You did this to you.
We didn't force this upon you. I apologize.
I've been trying to talk about Ricky Davis all night, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
No, but I think he kind of just fits with what the Spurs are trying to kind of build going forward with things like that. And they have a ton of perimeter talent, but they don't have a lot of big man talent. Jakob Poeltl can't really play down the stretch. I don't know how much Sohan can either, but I think this is just a nice touch, good passing, good playmaking. I think it'll be a fun ride for them in terms of the development train.
He has very little offensive game. Extremely little offensive game.
Not that little.
He has a chance to be a special defender, but there is just a long way to go offensively. And if he's playing the 5, then I'm not sure he's enough of a vertical athlete to be that. I'm not sure he's like good enough passer in the seams. And if he's a 4, then the shooting could be a major issue. Offensively, I have no clue what he'll be, but he could be a monster defender. He's got the power, the size, the feet to potentially be like just a major league defender.
I disagree on the offensive part because I think he's a good playmaker. I think he has a good feel for the game. Like I like maybe he's not going to be a scorer and I don't like maybe he can't shoot, but I think he's got like a lot of like playmaking ability. I think he's going to be really good in dribble handoffs. I think he's going to be really good kind of passing at the elbow. Like I think he's got a good feel for the game, especially in a wide open NBA system.
I mean, it's possible, I guess. And you saw flashes of that, but I just consistently, I didn't feel like that was totally there. And I thought it actually hurt Baylor's offense, even in college. So there's a long way to go for him on that end. But the man can really defend, and he's big and tough. And there is a lot of feel there. So we'll see.
All right, let's throw to a break real quick. That's right. We got an ad break, baby, and we come back. Ooh. One of the greatest NBA insiders to ever do it is going to join us right here on the Athletic NBA Draft Show.
Hey, listener, looking and feeling your best shouldn't mean deprivation. Instead, choose joy and abundance. Sakara's organic, plant-rich, transformational nutrition programs are designed to help you cultivate body intelligence. How about that? So you can nourish your body and experience the results you want. Sakara is a wellness company anchored in food as medicine on a mission to nourish your body through the power of plants. Sakara gives you the tools you need to transform your life with their organic, ready-to-eat meal delivery program and functional wellness essentials. Their nutritionally designed, chef-crafted breakfasts, lunch, and dinner are made with powerful plant-rich ingredients, helping boost your energy, support your digestion, curb your sugar cravings, and get that skin glowing. Plus, it's all delivered right to your door, ready to eat. You don't have to go hunting out for it, saying, oh, where's this delivered? No, right at your door. Sakara's functional, plant-rich wellness essentials help you create a body you love living in. From their best-selling Metabolism Super Powder to the Foundation, their daily supplemental packs, Sakara's products are designed to support your wellness goals anytime, anywhere. And right now, guess what? You're probably thinking, this is going to cost me more money than it normally would if I wasn't a listener of this program. No, you're wrong. Right now, Sakara is offering our listeners 20% off their first order when they go to sakara.com/NBA show or enter the code NBA show at checkout. That's Sakara, SAKARA.com/NBA show to get 20% off your first order. Sakara.com/NBA show.
We got Babel. We might not have Babel.
Buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, listener. Whenever you're listening to this, just think about this. For most of us, learning a second language in high school or college wasn't exactly a high point in our academic careers. I took French, 4 years of honors French in high school. I remember almost none of it. None of it. I can read some French, like I can read a menu, I can read a sign, I can read something on a page and like get the general idea of what's being said. But you want me to have a conversation? You want me to understand what people are saying? That's not going to blow it. Now, thanks to Babbel, the language learning app that's sold more than 10 million subscriptions. Oh my goodness. There's an addictively fun and easy way to learn a new language. Whether you'll be traveling abroad, connecting in a deeper way with family, or you just have some free time, Babbel teaches bite-sized language lessons that you'll actually use in the real world. I actually chose Spanish this time instead of French because I live in Los Angeles. I have family members who speak Spanish. Want to learn. Want to be able to at least get some conversation going, right? Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it a perfect way to learn a new language on the go. Other language learning apps use AI for their lessons plans, but Babbel, their lessons were created by over 100 language experts. Teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective. Yeah, science. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, German, plus more. Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you improve your pronunciation and accent. There's so many ways to learn with Babbel. In addition to lessons, you can access podcasts, games, videos, stories, and even live classes. Plus, comes with a 20-day money-back guarantee. Start your new language learning journey today with Babbel. Right now, save up to 60% off your subscription when you go to babbel.com/run. That's babbel.com/RUN for up to 60% off your subscription. Babbel, language for life. Adios.
Hola back. What's up, everybody?
Oh,
what's up, gentlemen?
Joined
What up,
now by
baby?
the unbelievable Sam Amick, who is Sam. I just got to know. Thank you for joining us here on the live show. Where the hell are these trades? I was promised trades.
I know, right?
I was promised like 15, 20, 30 trades on the night. We haven't had anything so far.
And then you had a guy on the show who can talk trades. I can talk league stuff. I cannot break down these prospects like y'all. So I'll be
tell us
bringing
about Keegan Murray, baby.
yeah. I can always hit on Sac. We can get into that for sure. I'm just mad. I thought I was the only Keegan in Sacramento. That's the my mother's maiden name. Now I got to share that.
Oh wow!
Oh, that's
title?
it's
Yeah.
a duel to the death now.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
One-on-one, I'm sure I would fare really well.
Yeah.
Hold on, Zach, before we move on, just because I just saw Jay in the finals, I just got to ask, did you jump off? You're not Celtics beat writer anymore. Is that a Warriors jersey? What are you wearing there?
This is an old Steve Nash jersey
Okay.
for the most hopeful man in the NBA now that he
right.
might not be coaching Kyrie next year.
Yeah, he needs a little help. Fair
So-
enough.
Sam, I like many had heard that Vivek really liked Keegan Murray, and that maybe was where the smart money was going to go with Sacramento at 4 if they didn't trade it. How close do you think were they to actually getting a trade done before the pick?
I don't have clarity there. They went fairly dark. The sense days leading up to yesterday, leading into the draft, was that they really did value the pick. And every team that talked to them that I talked to, that was consistent, that the price tag was really high. And it does kind of make sense, a few weeks back, and how intel can change and teams kind of, modus operandi can change. But from the Kings, there was this sense of I know the fans don't want to hear this. I said this locally today and people kind of went crazy. Like they were going to look at fit. Like it wasn't just best player anymore. And they've been through that. They took Davion Mitchell. You had the ripple effect, that I think did play a part in the Tyrese Halliburton trade. And so they've had this teeter-totter, kind of effect with that element of the draft. You go back to Luka and Bagley, obviously that was taking fit over talent. And so they've kind of alternated, but I do think that played a part here.
So we have another pick with more breaking news. Johnny Davis to the Wizards at 10, which allows me to ask you, Sam, joking question, is he the replacement to Bradley Beal? Real question, is Bradley Beal going somewhere? What is the sense on what Bradley Beal is going to do here? I feel like we, the collective basketball community, not just the media, but also fans outside of DC, have been trying to get Bradley Beal to want to be traded for a very long time. Now he can be a free agent. It sounds like he's going to be. So what should we expect from Bradley Beal this summer?
Yeah, I mean, I still think all signs point to him staying put. It is one of the weirder ones when it comes to like the masses wanting a guy to want something different for himself. A little bit like Dame in Portland, where folks have almost tried to push him over the edge of wanting a relocation. I mean, but you know how this is going to go. Likely takes the bag, and then when things don't change, then maybe we're talking about different trade scenarios down the road. So I still feel like it's going that way. And money talks, and that gap money wise is obviously massive between what they can give him and everybody else.
Well, just kind of throwing it back at Dame, like it seems like Dame's pretty solid now with where he's at. But what are the chances? Who would be interested in Beal? Like, I mean, everybody would be interested, but who are like realistically possible places? Nobody has money. Like anybody that he would want to go to, right? Like,
right. I don't see a straight up free agency situation. I think it's got to be, you hear a little bit about Miami, scenarios like that where, Bradley can look at the landscape and say, wait a minute, I'm actually going to contend for a title right now. I don't have to build anything. I don't have to, it's kind of just plug and play. Again, though, he has, I mean, even he and Dame have talked publicly. I think our Jason Quick had a great piece last season talking about how they would confide in one another about this idea of kind of going against the grain and doing it the way that they've done it. And so I don't see any of the cap teams looking likely at all. And I think it would be more of a, one of those classic kind of superstar manipulations, if you will, the way the Lakers got Westbrook to Lakerland last year, that type of thing, if he was going to move.
Is there ever a point where the Wizards decide, you know what, we don't want to pay this guy this much money and we would rather go in another direction and tear this down and get worse to get better at some point?
There should be, but it is a little bit, again, I'm going to go to the same well. It's analogous to Portland because you had a regime change in Portland. Now it's Joe Cronin, Neil O'Shea before then, loyalty to Dame all the way through. Tommy Shepard in Washington, I do think still 100% just has the attitude and the feeling and the opinion that, that the Bradley Beal experience is one worth not giving up on. So you could make a good argument that that's the way to go. It's funny. Another, I guess, comparison that is on my mind today. If you look at it, we haven't talked or written a lot about this because it's fresh, but yesterday, Jake Fisher from Bleacher Report has a nice little scoop about DeJounte Murray being a guy that the Spurs are willing to talk about. And it's not a great comp, but it's like, you got a Spurs team that is trying to get better. And that's, DeJounte is their Bradley Beal, though much younger. And they're already saying essentially that if you give us enough, we will retool again and we will take your 3 first-round picks and we will be more pragmatic in ways that some other teams obviously choose not to be.
Guys, we have a trade. We have our first trade. I don't know what it is. I do know that the Knicks at 11 are taking Ousmane Dieng and then sending him to OKC. I don't know what's coming back yet. I just know that is
Poku.
the case.
Poku. They're jettisoning Poku. Let's go.
Yeah, there's
too many skinny dudes on one team.
Not big enough
Poku and Chet together
for 99 combined pounds there between those two. This is interesting. Now, I am curious what the Knicks are getting back. This is someone that has been on the Thunder's radar for a bit. I think with the Knicks here, Sam, regardless of what they get in this trade, they went for it last summer, right? They go sign Evan Fournier. They re-sign a bunch of their bench guys. They go get Kemba Walker on what seemed like a sweet deal after he was getting 35 in the previous contract and got bought out. And then it just all went to shit. And so now it's back to, same old Knicks and everything. So how did they go about changing that this summer? They're going to, I guess, throw a bunch of money at Jalen Brunson?
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to be successful. If I'm handicapping it, I think he stays in Dallas. And there's noise about Brogdon being plan B, going after Malcolm Brogdon out of Indiana. But, that reality for them is tough. I don't see the Knicks thing with Kyrie being feasible, although he's obviously been tied to, or they've been tied to the Kyrie situation. The mechanics of that are, damn near impossible. And I'm not even sure what the appetite is. So, it's more of the same out there. Bing Bang or whatever the hell the saying was last year.
Bing Bong, baby.
Bing Bong. That didn't last very long. Bing Bang. That's how bad. I forgot.
Well, no, that's how bad they've been.
Well, I mean, we haven't
so
really,
bad.
We haven't really heard it since opening night. Like, that's the last time we really heard Bing Bong.
What a great opening night it was.
Oh, my God. I mean, one of the greatest opening nights for a team that missed the playoffs of all time.
It was fun far. For a little while at the Garden, man.
It was
fun for a little while. Trey Young catching strays. Tom Brady was catching strays.
Wrestling Garden for the one good night of the year, by the way, when they came back from 25 down on the Celtics and RJ Barrett hit a game winner.
Oh man!
Just for that moment, that place was breathing, man. That place was ready. The Knicks were back.
Yeah.
But,
and now here we are.
Reality caught up.
It looks like multiple first-round picks are heading back towards the Knicks in this one for getting Jang to OKC. So what is the Kyrie Irving situation at this point? Like, I don't know what to believe. I don't know if Kevin Durant's really going to strong arm this thing. I don't know if Kyrie's really going to try to find his way out. I don't even if he wants to. I don't know how feasible that is for him to go anywhere that he wants to go. So is this just a whole lot of nothing before Sean Marks gives him 4 years at max money?
We shall see. It is, I think, Zach, you're hitting on the right chord here in terms of where at least for me and I guess the narrative part of my brain, the guy who does enjoy telling these stories, is you're putting the spotlight in the right place from a human standpoint, right? Like Sean Marks, when it came to the vaccine and it came to the organizational kind of fortitude to stand strong on their stance there, what do we see? They folded. So the precedent has been set.
Yeah,
it certainly seems possible. I mean, but now the stakes are higher. Now the mood is worse because you have publicly. I mean, you could argue. I mean, Kyrie's not gonna lose sleep, but they got him out there a little bit, right? Like as far as these dynamics, they whether you say they've embarrassed him or whatever you might say, they are making it clear to the basketball world that we'd love to employ this guy, but not on his terms. And we're not going to just roll over like everybody thinks we will. So is it all bluffing? No. I mean, listen, it's wild. I told somebody today, the idea that Kyrie is going to potentially benefit from quote unquote leverage that is absolute lunacy in any other situation is wild. Meaning like the idea that we are thinking that, maybe he'll take a mid-level exception contract, which is bonkers and has never happened before. But we only think maybe because of everything he's done in the past, right? The idea that he's not afraid to go outside the box. So there's leverage here, but I also think the Lakers noise, again, really tough to pull off, but it's somewhat substantive there. Like you got people within the league actually thinking like, man, like I think you might find a way to get back with LeBron. And I do get the sense that there's not, I think LeBron would open that door, and we'll see if they can pull it off.
Bagbroach might be breaking news that Kyrie's headed back to Australia, which you know what? At this point, I would believe that
anything's
more than
possible.
More than I believe that he's taking the mid-level to go play for the Lakers. I don't like if he's gonna give. He's gonna go. Dave DeFore lets us know there's a vaccine mandate there. That's right. It's actually very strict. What they will and won't allow. Very strict. My family.
It would be great though if he finally got the vaccine to go back to
go to Australia. That's what was important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Play where his dad played.
Yeah. Sam, what's the other big news to keep an eye on? Like, you think it's Rudy Gobert? Is John Collins going to be the big guy that moves this summer? Like, what's the thing that feels the most? Well, sometimes the summer can be a dud like that, right? Like, I don't know what it's going to be.
The Collins stuff is a little bit front and center for me. I had a little blurb on it in our blog today. It picked up today in terms of interest. Someone made an interesting point to me where it was like people around the league have not actually believed that the Hawks were ready to trade John, because on paper you look at it and it's like, I think he's 23, he's a 2010 potential guy, 18-9, whatever you want to say, fits with your program, plays well with Trae Young, checks all these boxes. So people around the league have been like, why are you moving him? And it's people
never believed in him from the start either.
I mean, they've been trying to trade him pre-pandemic. Like,
they didn't want to pay him. They basically had no choice but to pay him after they made the conference finals.
It's got all these like DeAndre Ayton vibes, right? Like the team made the player feel like they didn't fully believe in him, thought he was nuts for wanting the max. And so the end does appear to be getting closer. Our Chris Kirshner, Hawks beat writer, had said likely not tonight. I could see it not happening tonight. I'd be surprised if he was, I really, really, really don't think he's going to play for the Hawks next season. I think this will probably get done at the most in the next week or so. So a lot of teams involved there. I mean, that's about it. There's going to be fireworks, but Kyrie has admittedly been top of mind for me lately, because that one is a doozy.
Do we think Kyrie's going to be like the domino that has to fall, or is that just going to be like whatever, whenever that happens, it happens?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Kevin Durant might become the domino that has to fall. It's the second domino, because the Kyrie thing is what it is. All these teams with their limitations cap-wise, trying to find a way to get Kyrie the teams that he wants to go to. But from there, then you're talking about a top 3 player potentially being available, even though Kevin's got all these years on his contract, the messiness that comes with that. I saw somebody tweet today about like, man, these owners are going to be coming for blood when the CBA discussions come up, because this is bonkers. You got the Ben Simmons situation where, he kind of had the team over a barrel. And now with Kevin, contractually really should have no voice whatsoever about where he plays, but we know he will because of the way the league works. Right. So that stuff is going to be, I think, a lot to unpack.
And Durant's situation and what he feels about Kyrie is the great unknown here.
Thank you, Ryan. Sorry, Jay. I couldn't.
Right. You would have to cover him. Yeah. That'd be great.
What we didn't tell you is the Kings are actually moving to the Australian Basketball League. And so Kyrie to the Kings to
Kyrie and Keegan Murray.
Sydney Kings.
Yeah.
But Durant's feelings are the great unknown here. Is he still super into the idea of playing with Kyrie Irving and being a teammate of Kyrie Irving's and tying his future to Kyrie Irving, or did a first round sweep in which he was made to look terrible because the rest of his team stunk weigh on him and change his mind? And I think that is a huge thing in this whole discussion, the whole way the Nets are approaching this. And we don't know. We have no idea because Durant hasn't spoken on it. And I don't think he ever will, no matter what happens. We may know from what happens how he feels, but he'll never let us know if he did sour on
we're not going to get a tweet about this.
I mean, that's the funny thing, Mo, is he tweets a lot, but he doesn't really let you in. I think Jay's right about that. But he tweeted last week that somebody said something about his legacy being dead because of the way the Warriors won the title. He said, I've been dead since July 4th, 2016 when he came to the Warriors.
R.I.P.
This one, I don't know. Like, I thought actually today the tone of Shams reporting and just making it really clear definitively that Kevin Durant is monitoring his situation in Shams speak, like that's about as clear as it gets, that is a not thrilled Kevin Durant reading the room and deciding what he wants to do here.
Guys, I'm going to make a cross-sport reference here, okay? So buckle up.
Uh-oh.
Sam, we appreciate your time. We're gonna sub you out for Marcus Thompson because we don't want too many men on the ice or live show. I don't know what happened with the Lightning and the Avalanche. I'm not fully aware of what happened last night. I'm not a hockeyman, but I know that there's something there. I know that there were some people that were very upset about the amount of people on the ice. I almost said court.
That is
on the ice court, on the old ice court.
Upgrade to the great Marcus Thompson.
All I'm saying is it wasn't called. There was too many men on the ice.
Sure.
The Avalanche
I mean,
won
whatever you
because
say.
of it. They got the game in overtime goal. So I'm saying we could have too many men because it's not going to get called.
Because it's allowed. Well, Marcus, do you have possibly any expertise in writing a book with an absurdly long title about Kevin Durant?
First off, the title is not absurdly long. It is an
What was the
appropriate
title? Remind
for
me.
a subtitle. The title was KD.
We don't have time. We don't have time.
The title was KD.
We actually don't have time to finish the whole title by the time the draft is over. We don't have time to finish all of the titles of Marcus's books.
All right, boys. This is a golden opportunity for me to say goodbye.
Yeah, you slide on out of there, Sam.
That's
Appreciate
my mic
it.
drop, Marcus. Appreciate you guys. Have a good night.
You.
Yeah.
Marcus, how was the parade? It's still going?
I left, man.
Oh, okay.
Because you were afraid of getting run over by Clay?
To be honest, man. So look, the Warriors and all their great public relations wizardry gave each regular publication a spot on a bus, and Slater, as the beat writer, got first dibs, so he was on the bus. And then I'm walking around on the ground of the parade thinking, you know what, let's do this. It's a parade, right? And Zach, I was down there for 20 minutes, and I was like, yo, I do not belong here. Like, I'm on foot. I'm with the people. Like, this is not. So I hopped on a scooter and took the ride back to my car.
Oh,
which was like 15 minutes away.
He loves the scooters out there. Scooters in the Bay Area are just
they're a menace. They're an absolute menace.
And I ride on the sidewalk. What?
Wow.
Wow. Jesus. So you were trying to truck people like Clay.
You know
I guess you were trying to get your Klay Thompson on there.
I will have far more remorse if I knock people over than Clay did. Like, I will at least give him a photo or something, sign something, give him a Clay picture up and kept on going.
Give him that photo, that Marcus Thompson photo.
You know what I'm saying? Let's take a selfie.
Everybody on the streets of the Bay Area.
All right, let's catch everybody up on the last three picks. Let's go to Ousmane Dieng, who got picked by the Knicks to send to the Thunder. Thunder were
not a John Hollinger favorite.
Yeah, not a John Hollinger favorite. Very, very highly rumored to go to the Thunder at some point in this draft. He's a big wing /4 who can do a little bit of some things, but not a lot of anything. And he's definitely a project, which is perfect for the Thunder because they just shut everybody down in February anyway.
I mean, that's when he's going to play. He's going to come and start playing
in a bunch of time with Darius Baisley, and that's going to be it. So
at some point, they need to select somebody with some meat on their bones. Right?
Do they? Do they?
I mean, one would think. Yeah,
they have a type. They have a type.
We have back-to-back Jalen's picked. We have Jalen Williams, who I am in love with out of Santa Clara. Oh
West
my God,
Coast Conference, baby!
Guy can hoop. 6'6" with a 7'2" wingspan. 18, 4, and 4 last year with 60% true shooting. This dude can hoop. He has shot up the rankings. He was kind of picked somewhere in the 20s, and then by the end of it, he's in the lottery. So he goes 12 also to the Thunder. So the Knicks are sending Dieng to the Thunder for multiple first-round picks, but not the 12th pick. The 12th pick will be Jalen Williams sticking with the Thunder. So that's a back-to-back pick for them. Again, more wings, more length, more skinny guys, more development time there. He'll be, I guess, kind of the adult in the room with Shea.
Hey, he had two dangling earrings in.
He sure did.
Life. He ready.
He sure did. And then number 13 to the Charlotte Hornets, Jalen Duren out of Memphis. He is someone they need a big man. They're just going to keep picking big men. They got Kai Jones. Duren to Detroit.
We've got source off. We got a source
chaos.
Off. He's either going to Detroit or the Knicks. Somewhere.
Okay, the Pistons are acquiring
by way of the Knicks. This seems confusing.
Well, this doesn't make any sense, folks.
They traded him to the Knicks to trade him to Detroit.
Okay, so Duren goes from the Hornets to the Knicks to the Pistons?
What did the Pistons have that the Charlotte Hornets did not want? What how did they have to facilitate that?
Kelly Olynyk? I don't know. Kelly Olynyk feels like he should be a Hornet at some point, right?
I mean, I feel like he's been one already.
Has he been one? Yeah, I was thinking.
I don't know. He might.
I have no idea. No, just throwing it out.
I think he's been a Hornet before.
I think he's done 2 tours with the Hornets, right? I think that's what he's done. Okay, so
didn't the Hornets need a big man, and then they had him, and they're like, nah, let's get rid of this guy.
Well, all right. I really liked Kai Jones last year, and then he didn't play at all this year. They were just like Mason Plumlee or PJ Washington. Those are our 5s. Like that's it. So Jalen Duren to the Pistons. That's a great pickup. They got like some real big man depth with Isaiah Stewart. Yeah, I like this pickup a lot. I do like the Jalen Williams to OKC more though. That is a great value in my opinion. I love that he moved into the lottery. Marcus, as you said, West Coast Conference. You know, he's right there. Baby. He's right down the road from you, right? In Santa Clara. It's just a quick little jaunt down the road.
I think it's quick. It's a long scooter ride, baby.
It's a long scooter ride, but it's a scooter.
Scooter nonetheless. Him running through the freeway on the scooter.
Yeah. No, he just takes the sidewalk from San Francisco down to Santa Clara after a Warriors game.
Hey, Detroit might be doing something, huh? Like
Detroit is Troy Weaver could do some things here.
I like this together.
I don't know. You like Ivy? I wasn't here for the earlier.
He's my second favorite guy in the draft.
Especially love him next to Cade, where he doesn't have to be the primary point guard right away, where he can kind of learn all that stuff in the background while still being a super freak and helping you in that way. I love that backcourt. They're going to be so much fun to watch. I was telling them earlier, I am going to watch way too many Pistons games next season. Like I want
it Sharp for them. I wanted Cade and Sharp together. I feel like them two might have a long 15-year partnership. But
I'm a big Shaedon Sharp fan. He takes reckless 3-pointers.
That's the whole reason why. That's the only reason.
He's like a young J.R. Smith, sort of.
Wow. What a compliment. That's a Hall of Fame compliment to me right there.
If he had J.R. Smith's career, like J.R.
that's a good career. J.R. caught a lot of jokes, but he had a good career.
Yeah.
Good long career.
Dude, straight from high school, too, by the way. People forget about that.
Absolutely.
I mean, he had to go to a city that he didn't want to hang out in.
You remember that rookie show that I think it was either ESPN or NBA TV did, but there was NBA. And he was part of that. I think it was Devin Harris. It was him. I can't remember who else. But I just remember him taking his per diem when he first started getting per diem. He would take it and he'd just go buy a bunch of candy, like Skittles and stuff. And so I respected the hell out of it. I was like, yeah, he's an 18-year-old in the NBA with all this cash to spend. Of course, you're going to go buy candy.
You got to at least upgrade from Skittles, though. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Skittles is an elite candy. What are you talking about?
Nah, not when you've tasted the finer life, which you clearly have not, by the way.
Name 5 better candies than Skittles.
I could do that.
Anything not, and if you buy it at a gas station or liquor store, then it ain't
candy
good.
bars count.
The Knicks have dumped. Listen, guys. We can talk candy for a second. The Knicks have dumped Kemba Walker to Detroit. They're clearing up cap space. I think they're trading out of the draft. I think they're opening up the space they needed to go get Jalen Brunson
or Kyrie Irving
or Kyrie
Irving. You know,
and they won't get either of them. That's the best part. They'll end up with some like mid-tier.
What happens though? Like I heard you guys talking about it when I was in the green room.
Yeah.
If Kyrie's out, does KD really bounce with 4 years left after just signed him? Or does it depend on who replaces
Steven
Kyrie?
Jackson signed an extension with the team and then said, get me out of here.
Like 2 weeks later, bro. And he called the shot. I was covering the team. He was like, I'm about to do this. He said, I'm about to get a contract extension. With 2 years left on his deal, they gave him 3. And he was like, and then once I get the extension, I'm out. I've never seen him do. I mean, he was like Babe Ruth of contract extension.
If Steven Jackson can do that, KD can absolutely do this.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel for him in a bit.
Okay, so Kemba to the Pistons. That does nothing for us at this point, right? He's too injured.
I don't think he'll even really play much.
I imagine that they might even just straight up waive him.
Yeah, I was thinking waive him.
Yeah, that's
because they've got a lot of room though. But why would they blow that cap space on Kemba when they could like get a player? Like
they have 50+ million, right?
Yeah, they got
they can still get somebody else.
They get one, right?
All right, I think we've got part of this
pretty high.
This trade's kind of coming together now.
Yeah, the Pistons are sending the Hornets the 2025 first round pick that Milwaukee was going via Portland.
That's
from
the one they
Jeremy
just
Grant
got,
trade.
ain't it? That's the one they just got. Yeah.
Okay, so that's
and Duren's going to New York. Is this a 3-team trade?
Sounds like it. Yeah.
No, the Pistons are getting Duren.
Oh,
I thought I saw something that said Duren was going to New York in the Kemba Walker trade.
He was.
He
the
was.
Walker. Didn't they
Well,
draft?
now this is
they
just
drafted him, trade him to the Knicks.
Shams
and then
is
trade him to
reporting.
Detroit.
Shams Knicks acquired Jalen Duren and moved him with Kemba Walker to the Pistons. So he is a Piston now.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go.
Okay, so
I
no
just
confusion for no reason.
Yeah, I can't read. That's fine. No problem.
That's fine. Okay, so Duren, Kemba, who might get waived, to the Pistons, and then we get picks moving around and everything. So let's
basically
talk about
they turned Jeremy Grant into Jalen Duren and
Kemba.
significant cap space on top of that.
And they moved up
cap
to the
space,
36th pick. Or no, Portland moved up to the 36th pick. Portland moved up to the 36th pick. Yeah. And then,
But I don't know. Can Kemba? I mean, I don't know if they're giving up on Killian already, but could Kemba?
They should.
I think the NBA is giving up on Killian already.
I think
That'll mean the Pistons
not
are, though.
good.
That'll mean the Pistons are. I'm just wondering, like, I know Kemba's like not who he used to be, but can he be like a man? Come off the bench and just go. Give me a good 15 points, man.
Is he willing to do
that?
that?
Rest.
Does he
have a choice
that?
at this point? Like, who's starting him and giving him the keys to the kingdom at this point?
Nobody, but I think he's going to want to maybe do that more on a contender versus doing it on a team that's probably going to still be a
The Lakers or something will talk themselves into him after he gets bought out.
Marcus, are the Warriors going to make this pick at 28, or are they going to send it off for luxury tax relief?
No, I think they're going to make it. They're into stocking youngsters now. Like that's what they do.
Charlotte,
I think
still
they're
got their
gonna
big
make it.
man.
Mark Williams. Ooh, that's a good one.
I like Mark Williams.
I think this will end up being an interesting order because I like Mark Williams more than Duren, and I think there's a chance that Mark Williams is significantly better than Duren. So I think this is like a
First off, Duren
couple
is
of picks
like
to note
17
the
years
order
old,
of it.
So. We don't know what Duren is.
All right,
17.
wait, real quick. Are the Warriors going to make this pick?
I think they're making the pick. I think they like controlled lower salary, especially 28.
Yeah,
like
that's a real low salary, right?
That's a low salary. They need those with all that money they got on the books.
All right, Marcus, go write your book with a 4-sentence title for
while
this
writing a
championship. We appreciate the time.
It's a subtitle.
We're gonna take you out of here.
Titles.
Will Guillory, our New Orleans Pelicans writer, now is going to join us. Will, thank you so much for hanging on with us. Dyson.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what Jalen Duren is going with everybody else. So we're all in the same boat.
We know he's in the NBA now. We're just not.
That's
he's on one of
Somewhere.
30 teams. We're not sure which one yet. We think maybe Detroit at this point. But Dyson Daniels, we like this pick a lot for New Orleans. What's the reasoning behind the pick? What was the target here? Was that? I mean, they're going to say probably, oh, he's number one on our board. But like, what was the process here for Griff bringing him in?
Yeah, I think the Pelicans, you might be surprised by this, but they've had eyes on Dyson Daniels throughout this process. They really like what he brings, a young prospect who can play defense, a big guard. I think that was a priority for this team to get a big guard next to CJ McCollum and Jose Alvarado, a guy with a high IQ, played in the G League last year, tough. He just told us, we talked to him in the interview room out there in New York. He talked about liking to talk trash on defense, getting physical with guys, got a little bit of that Aussie in him. So I think this is a really good pick for the Pels. They just got to get him in the gym, work on that jump shot. But I think he could be a really good asset for this team, just getting some more defense around Zion, B.I., and CJ.
I saw I believe everything that I see on the internet at this point this week. It's when I turn my filter off and I just believe every rumor. I believe every Instagram post. I believe everything I see.
Absolutely.
I saw that some random kids, maybe teenagers, maybe early 20s, I don't know, allegedly played pickup basketball with Zion Williamson, and he looked, he looked pretty good, but he also looked like he was next to regular sized people. So, you're going to look a little different compared to regular sized people. Was that real? Is that current?
Yes, that is real. And Zion is known for just popping up in random places in New Orleans. We had a event early this year where he just popped up at a church on a Sunday and he was just taking pictures with the entire congregation. So I think that's what Z likes to do, is just pop up in random places in New Orleans. And now he's popping up with the guns out. He wants to show people he's putting work in, kind of like Jay King, showing the people the traps.
It's not at all like Jay King. Will, don't do it. It's not at all like Jay King. He actually has.
I don't know if you noticed this. But
listen, I can't see the difference between Jay and Zion. I'm telling you.
Will, stop it. Will, stop it, please.
If we want to break down it, throw them both at a buffet. I think Jay King actually wins this battle at a buffet between him and Zion. But let's examine that photo though, because in it he is flexing. He is also kind of covering.
Season.
He's kind of covering his midsection a little bit, so he shows the guns, but we don't know what the core looks like. So it's still, if you want to
see, this is why I
open on this one.
I, a long time ago, let everybody know in Pel's Twitter that I am out on all Zion picture analysis. I'm not looking at any photos of Zion during the summer.
I remember the Jared Sullinger days, man.
I don't care how he looks in any of these pics. I'm looking at him on the court.
Jared Sullinger days, it would be like 1 week he would come out and people would be freaking out. Jared Sullinger's in great shape. He's going to come back in the best shape of his life. A week later, they'd be like, oh my God, he needs to lose 30 pounds again. It would just be up and down depending on the angle of the photo, depending on the size of the outfit. It was brutal. Just see what he comes into camp like, and let's move from there.
I once made a disparaging remark just saying, like, I don't think Jared Sullinger's good, something to that effect on Twitter. I didn't at him, but he favorited it. He was someone who like used that stuff as motivation, but I clearly didn't work because
didn't motivate him
like
enough.
3 years in the league.
Didn't go according to plan there on that one.
What's the latest word on Zion's health? I'm sure that's a question you never get, but what's the latest on everything going on with Zion?
Yeah, you're actually the first person to ask me this, but no, he's been fully cleared to do everything, so he's got no more limitations, no more burst limitations or anything like that. So he's able to do whatever he can show up to whatever park he wants to and play pickup against whatever 14-year-olds he wants to play against. And they feel pretty good about where he is. He's apparently going to be in Vegas out there working out with CJ McCollum and some of those guys during summer league. So the team feels really good about where he's at. He's on the verge of signing that extension. I got a ESPN guy in the background. He's got to get out of here. But the team feels really good about where he is health-wise, mentally, and I think they're going to feel much better once he signed that extension.
We'll let you go on this. What's the main target player-wise, or just what are the Pelicans looking for? What type of player are the Pelicans looking for in the offseason? Because they have a pretty full roster.
Here's the funny thing. After you draft Dyson Daniels and once he's signed, that's 15 guaranteed contracts. So they don't really have room for anybody else on the roster. Of course, they can make a move, trade somebody. I put out there that Devontae Graham is a guy they've been looking around to see if what kind of value he has on the trade market. Maybe a Garrett Temple, maybe a Jackson Hayes. But this roster is pretty complete. They feel pretty good about where they are. Obviously, Zion's the number one priority, getting that extension done. But I think this thing is pretty set. They love the Dyson Daniels addition and how he can complement some of those guys in the backcourt. And now it's just a matter of getting everybody healthy and on the court so we can actually see what it looks like.
Will, appreciate the time. Go back to getting kicked out of this room or whatever's going on.
Gotta get swole so I can get like Jim. I'll go do some push-ups right now.
Just go get those Jay King traps.
Don't light it, Jay.
Don't gas me. Don't gas me up.
Please don't. We don't. You're not in the group chat. I don't want to have to hear this shit.
No, I'm fat right now. I gotta get a good shape, man. It's time.
Summer league's coming, man. We gotta get into. We gotta slim down for summer league. It's only a couple weeks away.
I got a wedding coming up. I gotta get slimmed down for the wedding.
Oh boy.
Thanks, Will. All right, let's get to some picks that we missed. 14. Ochai Agbaji out of Kansas. I like him. I can't believe you guys are so down on him. I like him. I know he's old at 22, an old 22-year-old, but I think this is a good value for what the Cavs need wings, right? Like the Cavs need wings. I think he's a solid rotation wing to get that at the back end of the lottery. I don't know why you guys are so down on him.
I just don't think he does that much. I think he could be a pretty good shooter. He doesn't really put the ball on the floor. He's not going to be a creator, a passer. He's only 6'5". The wingspan's good, but I just don't see him as the type of player that really has a high ceiling. I do think he'll probably be a rotation player, but I just don't see a lot more than that from him. I like him, but I just think he's super limited.
He's fine. I think he's a good fit for what they need, everything that's going along with it. Like, he'll work out just fine. It's just an okay pick to me. It's nothing that really kind of blows me away.
Seth is back to shit on O'Shea Agbaji.
Well, so Agbaji like shot 39.3% from 3-point range his last 2 seasons. That's about 500 attempts. Like, that's a pretty good shooter.
Sure. I mean, shooting is especially 3-point shooting is it translates inconsistently to the NBA. And if he's not a high level shooter, what is he? Not saying he can't be, but it's just that's the sort of the guys who have the wing who has one way to be good is never my favorite player to pick. But we're getting into the range where it's fine because like everyone you're looking at now has flaws. So it's fine. I probably would have wanted something with a little more oomph, but whatever.
I mean, and who knows if that's actually there, but more importantly, like, this is when I want to see trades. Like, now you need to spice up the draft here.
Well,
now we need a little more trade action.
I don't think we're getting any.
There is a trade that we don't even know what. Like, there's a trade that involves at least 2, maybe 3, maybe more teams. That was kind of like they're sort of players
just
floating in
limbo
the air
now.
Yeah.
The hat guy is really confused back there, going like, do I give them the hat here or do
you never know? Yeah,
you just that's the fun one. But
maybe this should be the new game, like at baseball games, where it's like follow which hat ends up on the guy. No,
you just put Jalen Duren under a hat and just have him go around the field.
Have the different hats running around on top of him on the video board.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
All right, we get another Duke Blue Devil going 15 to Charlotte. It looks like they'll keep this one. Mark Williams. Look, another draft pick I like. I'm so positive on the majority of these picks tonight. I'm here for it, and I think Mark Williams, like, the key is going to be, can he defend on the perimeter, right? Like, he's got great size, good athlete, a very paint-oriented player, but if he can defend on the perimeter, and it doesn't have to be, Bam Adebayo, he just has to be able to compete to where you're not feeling uncomfortable with him out there on a switch. And I think if he can do that, if he can challenge shots, like, I think at the NBA level, he'll be able to do that.
And he is huge.
He's
is
massive, man.
7'2" with like a
dude.
7'7" or 7'8" wingspan or whatever it is.
Yeah,
he is as freakish as it gets measurement wise, basically, and he's pretty mobile on top of that. So I think Mark Williams has a chance to be pretty good. I know that drafting centers is not maybe the best use of resources in this day and age. But if you got a guy who can be that size with a little bit of feel and also the mobility, he could be pretty good. And I like the fit with him in Charlotte too, because obviously they need some
enormous guy standing near rim probably helps Charlotte. They can't stop anybody from getting there, so might as well have
Yeah, you need the big guy at the rim who's not Mason Plumlee, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just
if
you can get it.
That's conference finals defensive replacement, Mason Plumlee.
That's true. Look, they like that. A couple years ago, before Jokic really started trying on defense, they would say, "All right, Jokic, you got to get out of there. We got to bring in the Plum Dog," and it would work.
Quite a moment for Plumlee. What a fan.
Let's go to the 16th pick, AJ Griffin, another Dookie. AJ Griffin. I like his game enough. There have been some questions, I guess, about durability moving forward. He goes to the Hawks here. I mean, look, I think the less they can rely on Gallo in the future, which I don't even know if that's going to be a thing after this offseason, but you do need some guys who can kind of move around a little bit. He's got a great wingspan. I don't know if everything's going to translate to the NBA level, but I think he's a rotation 3-4 type of guy.
Ambasini is really down on his defense. Incredibly down.
But I think a lot of these guys, like, it's going to depend on where you go. So I guess going to the Hawks isn't the most exciting way to get up on a guy's defense. I don't know if they're going to defend like they did this second half of 2 seasons ago. But I don't know. I think he's gonna be fine defensively.
And you put shooting around Trey Young, it just really puts a lot of stress on the defense.
Yeah.
So I don't hate that. He can't really create much off the bounce, but he won't need to in Atlanta. Let's be honest. Trey Young does most of that.
I mean, there were questions about Gary Trent's defense coming in too. A player of, broadly similar profile. So
Duke doesn't seem to coach defense very well.
Look,
not recently.
Coach K, overrated. I'll just say it. That guy, man. He got away from
Zach Harper, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Harper.
For the long time, we got away with this.
I'm not disagreeing.
Everybody stays for Coach K and all this bullshit, and then he managed to coach the greatest players in the world for Team USA, and all of a sudden he's this hero in basketball. I think he's been getting by on the 90s for a long time. Okay,
didn't he win a title with Jahlil Okafor in them pretty recently?
Tyus Jones won him a title.
Justice Winslow.
Justice Winslow won him a title. Right, no, but think about that.
Some Coach
he coached
K
these can't miss prospects who get to the NBA.
Slander if it's true.
And
I don't know what's going on.
What's happening? I'm crapping all over Coach K. I'm glad that he's out. I think he's overrated as a coach.
I'm with you on that.
Look, man, you get bounced enough times in the first or second round of a tournament when you're a heavy favorite. I think that's noticeable. Jahlil Okafor can't miss prospect, goes to Duke.
How many Final Fours has he made? He just went to the
how
Final
many years
Four
did he coach? Who cares?
Did he
win
win
more of them?
Did he win, Jay?
He won more than most coaches did.
Did he win this Final Four?
No.
Okay.
No, he lost to his most bitter rival in his final game. And now
also beat the
crap
out of him in his retirement game at home.
Jay Wright, way better coach. Way better. Not even close.
I mean, recruiting is part of coaching too.
But you got to do something when you get the kids.
I feel the need to push back here a little bit. Just like
I will not be pushed back off this.
No. I think that some people made a better adjustment to the one and done era than others. And I think that's a pretty hard line if you're going to look back at his career, is that prior to that and then after that, I think there's a pretty stark difference.
All right, I'm just going to look at this, all right? Last guys to get into the league from Duke. Jalen Johnson, I don't know. He might be good. Vernon Carey, Trey Jones, Cassius Stanley, not really a thing. RJ Barrett, pretty good. I like him.
Oh, sorry.
Seth's favorite guy. Seth's favorite player.
Cam Reddish, I like him, but he's,
nobody
not
else
great so far.
Like
Tibbs,
Zion, play a game. Grayson Allen, dirtiest player in the league. Marvin Bagley got taken over Luka. I blame Coach K for that. Wendell Carter Jr. already on the Magic. I blame Coach K for that. Not a great recent history here. Harry Giles, super injured. A lot of injured guys, too. Like Luke Kennard and Gary Trent Jr. are probably the best players out of the last 5 years. Oh, RJ Barrett's pretty good. But, I'm just saying, Coach K, where is it? Show me the resume recently that matters.
He peaked with Jason Tatum.
I think so. And even Tatum got way better after he left. I mean, he was 14 years old when he was at Duke. But
he was...
Still only 19.
It's John Shire season now, boys. I'm a Duke fan. I've always been a Duke fan.
Of course,
shocking.
Of course,
shocking.
And I've been waiting for Coach K to walk out that door for a long time. He has kept them near the top. He has won so many games, so many championships, and he annoyed the piss out of me, even a huge Duke fan. He was going after my guy, Dylan Brooks. That was when he crossed the line forever. Once he went after my guy, Dylan Brooks, after the game, he's not your player. Don't go after him.
You know what I'm not going to miss? Having to watch him get carted into the court every damn time he shows up to an arena in his final season. That whole thing, the tournament. Let's watch
look at me, Louis, right there. Just walk.
The video of him getting golf carted out after his final game was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It was hysterical.
That I could watch that on loop forever.
We have reached Warriors levels petty now.
Yeah.
Have you not met these dudes, Seth?
I'm sorry.
Like,
if you're going to use an American Express commercial as your key recruiting element in the 90s, get out of here.
Michael Match used to have a little respect for me. I appreciate that, Michael.
Michael, that's the real question. Why did you ever have respect for him?
That's the thing. It's like I've lost a little respect I had for you. It's like, but you did have a little respect for me.
I appreciate
That's something. Yeah, Duke Homer, elated to see him leave. Couldn't make the Final Four with Zion, RJ, and Cam. Get out of here. Rodney Hood lost his starting spot in Donovan Mitchell's first ever rookie game because he had the bubble guts at tip-off. I blame Coach K for that as well. Yo, Rodney Hood used to legit like throw up every game though. Like when he was on the Jazz, like he would throw up every game. Lost to John Morant at Murray State. Exactly. That's how we're going out with our draft coverage. We're anti-Coach K. But we're like, Coach K, bye. Like, get out of here. Thank you for checking us out. That wasn't good, but we'll end on that. Thank you for checking us out. Thanks to everybody. Like, K, bye. You know, like, okay. Thanks to the Steve Nash jersey. Thanks to John Hollinger, Sam Amick, Will Guillory, Fred Katz, of course, Seth. Who else we have? Marcus Thompson, who has the longest titles in book history. Mo Dakhil.
I only had
King,
one subhead on mine.
Dave DeFore. Am I missing anybody that we had? I feel like I'm missing someone. Mid-range theory. Pick it up in stores. Tim, thank you for getting this going. Dave, thank you for getting this going. Everybody, make sure you're locked into The Athletic. The best coverage of sports on the internet. Will have the best draft recap. Go over right now. Check out the live blog on theathletic.com. Make sure you got that app. And make sure you subscribe to the Athletic NBA Show podcast 5 days a week. Plus, you get the daily ding every morning. You wake up with our voice. You go to bed with our voice. And we love you here at The Athletic. See you, everybody. Coach.